Tonight's episode of the Tuesday Night Cigar Club is brought to you by Drew Estate. Come experience the rebirth of cigars at www.drewestate.com and download the free Drew Diplomat smartphone app today to discover nearby retailers, RSVP to special events, redeem points to win exclusive Drew Estate merchandise, and much, much more.
This might be a big mistake, but I'm having too much fun to wait. Flag her down when she comes back by. That one's yours and this one's mine. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round. Bring another round.
Here's the Suckles!
Good evening, brothers and sisters of the Leaf. Coming to you live from the corner of No Hope, it's the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. Tonight, the boys partake in an inspiring discussion with legendary filmmaker J.R. Bookwalter about his 1989 cult classic, Robot Ninja, while smoking the Macanudo Inspired Red from General Cigar Company, paired with the tasty Kung Fu Robot IPA from Tap Brewing Co-op. A Robot Ninja movie, a Kung Fu Robot beer. You guys really couldn't track down a Taekwondo robot-themed cigar to complete the pairing trifecta here? What a bunch of losers. Anywho, sit back, folks, light 'em up, and enjoy the show.
I have two beers. How'd that happen?
When one's just not good enough.
You know, right before we started the show, I just looked at the news ticker and I saw some breaking news coming across. Turns out Donald Trump's private attorney, Michael Cohen, who it appears is almost exclusively retained by clients to pay off porn stars and mistresses, has just revealed that he has a fourth previously unnamed mystery client.
Please say the doctor. Please say the doctor.
You'd like that, wouldn't you, Mr. Ron Jason Tuttle? Care to explain yourself, young man?
Turning client privilege.
Ron Tuttle, doing his very small part to make America horny again since the early 90s.
It's true. It's totally true.
You know how Matt Cade makes America horny again, guys?
How? So you're just gonna drink
Well,
incessantly?
that
No, because I've been watching you do that for like years now, and I'm
Watching me chug that beer, you're no more hornier than you were a few minutes ago?
correct.
Be honest. A little bit hornier?
No,
Tiny bit hornier.
no.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news. Fake news. When in doubt, just chug a fucking beer. Welcome everybody
I
to
like
the...
that one.
Hey, maybe I should get little red hats. When in doubt, chug a fucking beer. Copyright 2018 Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Speaking of Tuesday Night Cigar Club, welcome everybody to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club.
All right.
Episode 72.
72, I believe.
72.
Oh man, only 28 more of these to go before I kill all of you. I mean, before I chug another beer.
I'm turning in my notice. It'll be a like 27 show notice or something like that.
No, we're all horny here. Always.
What? I mean, sure, maybe.
Am I in some
So
kind of trouble here?
confused.
Do I need to talk to my lawyer? Apparently
You
so.
can't. He's been subpoenaed.
Not that guy.
Fourth Amendment be damned.
What a crazy world we live in. Boy, we have quite a show for you tonight.
Oh, man, yes.
In a little bit, you're going to be treated to an interview with the writer-director, cult legend of tonight's film we're going to take you through. But we do have a little bit of business to get through beforehand. As you can see, there's a glass boot in the middle of the table.
Oh, man.
You guys outvoted me on this.
Yeah.
Last night, a gentleman died yesterday, passed away. I wasn't going to bring out the boot. Cody...
How can you not bring out the boot? Because you're a disgusting drunk body.
Cody threw out a text. We should probably bring out the boot. I said, if Tut votes for it, you guys, it's a democracy.
How are you not?
I don't, because body of work.
Saving Silverman, I'm sorry, just that role alone is boot worthy.
That words that have never been mentioned anywhere ever.
Yeah, but I mean,
just his work in Saving Silverman alone.
That's not where I was.
It's not like that's not like a thing. That's like
the Michael J. Fox deal. That was good. What there was something else he was known for. Not the Michael J. Fox ghost movie. Not Saving Silverman.
How about I?
Can we tell the listeners who he is?
I think
first?
there was something else he was. Wait, yeah.
Can we say his name first, Tut?
Okay.
Here's a guy who never made anybody horny.
Are you kidding? He made Marines all across the world horny.
Well,
I'm not sure that's how that works either.
That is how that works.
I'm going to just go ahead and scratch out a lot of things I was going to say. And this is what I had it at all. Yes, unfortunately, we lost R. Lee Ermey on April 15th, 2018.
Mail Call. That's the big show that he was
Mail
in.
Call. Ronald Lee Ermey. He was born in March 24th, 1944. In Emporia, Kansas.
1944.
1944.
1944.
He wasn't that old then.
I believe he was 74 when he passed.
It's a good run.
Yeah.
It's a good run.
He
It's a good run.
Yeah, he was. His family moved around. He ended up in Washington when he was younger. He was a little bit of a hellraiser. Got into some trouble.
I can see that.
Ended up in court. Basically, on his second arrest, the judge gave him a choice:
I did not know
jail or military service. So he took jail. No, no, military service. Join the Marines.
So confused.
No, I didn't know that. That's why he joined.
Yes.
Seems like a little bit of a rebel rouser.
Yes. So he ended up going into that.
I can see it.
And eventually worked his way up into drill sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was doing that, he was attending the University of Manila in the Philippines, and he got his first film role, which happened to be in Apocalypse Now.
What?
I didn't realize he was in Apocalypse.
I did not know that.
He was. I'm not sure that he was actually credited
Just
in terms of his role, because he played a chopper pilot, one of the first cavalry chopper pilots.
Yeah. I'll have to look at that.
If you listen real close, you can hear this goddamn chopper.
Hoorah!
He was
He
always so
ended
frustrated.
up doubling as a technical advisor to Francis Ford Coppola during that time, and then went on to do several other films, and then his thing in 1987 for Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket. He took that role, and only to be the technical advisor.
Oh, man.
He was going to train the guy who was going to play the role.
Right.
Correct. Now,
And
initially he was
Kubrick being a
intended only
genius.
as that. Kubrick changed his mind after Ermey put together an instructional tape in which he went on an extended tirade towards several of the extras, convincing Kubrick he was the right man for that role.
Yeah, man.
That's why Kubrick's Kubrick.
Dude, every time you see that hand, it is perfectly on the seam of his pants. He could be bending at a 45-degree angles, knees bent or legs locked, and that hand is right there, just straight freaking pose discipline.
And as it said, seeking authenticity for the film, Kubrick allowed Ermey to write or edit his own dialogue and improvise on the set. A notable rarity for Kubrick.
Oh, he didn't like you doing your own thing.
Later indicated that Ermey was an excellent performer, often needing only just 2 or 3 takes per scene.
Whereas he would have Shelley Duvall on The Shining do 500 takes of each scene. Drove her into a nut
He was
house, for
probably
God's sake.
scared of Ermey.
And Ermey's performance.
Kubrick was afraid of no one.
Ermey's
He
performance.
was afraid of Ermey. I'm sorry, go ahead, man. Yeah.
He was nominated for a Golden Globe Award as Best Supporting Actor for Gunnery Sergeant Hartman.
It's funny because I could see people saying, but he didn't really act, and I can understand that.
But that's the point.
No, as someone who's thrown people in front of the camera and said, just be yourself. I love what you do in your normal life. Do that. They never do that.
Yeah, I've never done that. When you've told me that, I've been like, I don't know what to do.
Hey, you do this awesome thing. Can you do it when I turn this camera on? Sure. Oh, wait. No.
What's that red light? You disgusting
that is
jelly.
That is
roll.
talent. That is an ingrained talent that he had. He was a natural born performer is what he was.
Yes.
He was performing as a drill sergeant when he was in the service. He had a spotlight on him without having a spotlight on him. And when he got on film sets, he ate it up.
Yes.
I love the fact that they said that man could go into any bar anywhere and never buy a drink.
And that's
Blood
believable.
goals.
I mean, he and this is one of those things.
There's so many times where actors have like tried to do military roles and they've, some have done all right, some have missed the mark. I've never heard anybody talk bad about any military man talk bad about Arlie Ermey.
Real quick, we have a kind of a mutual friend, Ben, who works he's a rep for Blackworks. He's a Marine, ex-Marine, and he did a post on Facebook last night. I guess Ermey came and spoke to his
that'd be cool.
at some kind of when Ben was in the service to some kind of Marine thing, and said he stuck around for hours afterwards, taking pictures, telling the boys that, you know what, you guys are a completely different breed than when I served because you enlisted for this shit. We didn't have a choice. Like you said, his judge told him, you're doing this.
Right. Well,
he's like, you guys volunteered to serve your country. He's like, that puts you on a different level. Said he was smoking stogies, taking pictures. Said he was just the most nicest, went beyond whatever he was paid to come there and do. He just till the very end. And then I also had another friend on Facebook, an actress who played Leatherface's sister in the Texas Chainsaw remake, which Ermey had a huge role in as the sheriff. And she spoke of his just warm kind of, just standing in puddles, giving his umbrella to other people when it was raining, just, smiling his ass off. And she's like, why are you smiling?
I like hearing that.
And he's
I
like,
like hearing that.
When he was on a movie set, it was just gravy. He was just in a happy place. And and Heather was like, it was just, you couldn't help but just kind of get a kick out of this guy and just.
I think when you talk about body of work, it's definitely lacking.
And that was why.
But at the same
he
time,
did two gangbuster
but at the same time, he
in the
is
Leatherface movie.
Yes.
I mean, he went so. Take the guy from Full Metal Jacket on steroids, what he brought to the Texas Chainsaw remakes.
I'm gonna have to actually watch that.
Oh my God! Like, he is terrifying. He's scarier than Leatherface.
Yeah.
And he's Leatherface's brother.
Yeah.
And he takes it to such an extreme. But I just was gonna. I mean, we're pretty selective about the boot, and
I think where Arlie takes point is that he was so impactful with the roles he did do. Yeah, the body of work, the quantity of work might not be there.
That's true.
And it might not be like this big, diverse actor, but his impact on the roles that he had were almost transformative.
You never heard someone say, boy, Ermey really fucked up that role. Or, boy, Ermey sucked in that.
Well, no, and he had a,
You know who was the greatest part of Full Metal Jacket? Joker. Said no one.
Yeah.
And Joker did an awesome job.
Yeah.
There was a lot of awesome characters in that movie, and Arlie just chewed up half of it.
True.
and that's what I said, to be able to create that character from his own experiences, obviously, but to translate that to the screen in almost a little over-the-top manner, but not really so much.
He finessed it. He finessed the hell out of it.
But he created a character that is legend now, iconic. When someone says Drill Sergeant Hartman,
There you go.
It was we played a ton of military bases, and I actually got to see
This is for our listeners in your country band.
Yeah, in the country band, and we actually got to see the drill instructor training or practice, and the guys had the big Smokey Bear hats on, and they were standing right in front of a tree with that brim touching the tree, and just yelling their fucking asses off. It was like they're like, all right,
At the tree?
At the tree,
Practicing?
So it was like almost said, all right, I want you to go to that tree and envision Ermey, what he would say to that tree. And these guys were barking left and right, and I was giggling so damn much.
That's interesting.
It was fun. I was like, you know what? It's kind of a character, but at the same time, when you actually see it in practice, you know, maybe he was the real deal. So.
Well, I think you guys are right. He's worthy of the boot. We have drank from the boot. Finish it off. Release Ermey's spirit into the great beyond.
I saw a meme today that he's reporting meme. Yeah,
memes.
He's reporting.
He calls memes.
As soon as he gets to heaven, they were like, "Arlie, you're on duty." So that was kind of cool.
And if you have not seen Full Metal Jacket,
oh god,
highly recommend it.
And he is the best thing about those Chainsaw remakes. The only good thing about the Chainsaw. So check those out as well. All right, boys, you were right. I was wrong. There you go. The boot is empty. He's released into the cosmos. You ready to smoke a cigar?
Oh,
please.
Hell yeah.
Please.
Tonight we're smoking the Macanudo Inspired Red from General Cigar Company. Cody, you should be ecstatic about this. When we started smoking cigars, Macanudos were your bread and butter. Up until recently, I believe Macanudos were the #1 selling cigar in the world, premium cigar in the world. I think perhaps Acid, now that they're into Asia, has maybe eclipsed that a little bit. I'd have to double check, but Macanudo is one of the all-time classics in the affordable premium cigar world.
Cody, I'm stealing your utensils.
That is quite all right.
I'm sorry.
Let me tell you a little bit, because this Macanudo, certainly you can tell, is a little bit different than the Macanudos you smoked just a few years ago, where those were a light Connecticut shade, a very mild cigar. This one features a Ecuadorian wrapper, utilizes the rare and highly sought-after Ecuadorian Havana Ligero leaf. Binder, Nicaraguan, flavorful tobacco selected from the acclaimed Jalapa region. Tut, you're a big fan. Filler.
You said Ligero and Jalapa, so I'm on board.
Oh, it gets better. Filler, Nicaraguan Esteli, aged for 5 years. Nicaraguan Ometepe, aged for 12 years. And Honduran Yamastran, aged for 10 years. So you got 12-year, 10-year, 5-year-old tobacco in this sucker. Here's a little bit of info I got for you. Macanudo Inspired Red Robusto cigars are part of a line made to celebrate Macanudo's 50th anniversary. 50 years these things have been around. Born from rich volcanic soil and perfected through unique aging techniques, the Red holds the distinction of being Inspirado's fullest-bodied cigar yet. So it's going to be a strong Macanudo. That's different. This bold, full-bodied offering represents the marriage of rich volcanic soil and profound aging techniques to achieve unmatched strength and refinement. Dressed in Ecuadorian Habano Ligero and blended with rare tobaccos, as I mentioned, including the 12-year aged Ometepe from Nicaragua, 10-year aged Yamastran from Honduras, and the 5-year aged Nicaraguan Esteli, Macanudo Inspired Red is bound with hearty Nicaraguan Jalapa. Enticing notes of pepper, spice reign supreme, transcending the experience of Central American tobaccos to the point of the sublime.
That was a little emphasis.
Man, that was very Jay Peterson of the read there.
As I exited the jungle, I tripped across a cigar.
I tripped across the cigar.
Boy, this is not your grandpa's
Honduras.
Macanudo.
Apparently,
Taking
it is
you
not.
to a trip to Sublime.
Has everyone lit up?
Yes.
I have.
First impressions upon light. It is certainly, obviously, a different. It's got a leather. Feel that wrapper. Just rub your thumb on it. It's leathery. I mean, it's like
well,
feeling a leather.
I mean, that was the main
Smells
aroma
actually really good.
that I got off of it before I lit. Was just a very slight earthy, but really just a strong leather.
It feels like you're touching a leather jacket. If you rub your finger about it.
Wait a second. It is leather. Oh. It's all lies.
So far, it's true to form. I mean, I'm getting that leather taste, especially going through the retro. I'm not getting a ton of pepper. I even hesitate to say that I am getting pepper.
I'm actually not. There is a strong tingle in the nostrils, but it's not. It's not pepper, and it's not a spice. It kind of hangs there at the top of your nose, kind of like when you take a big glob of wasabi.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good description of it.
Boy, leather, and in the early stages, boy, that nose burn.
It's like, try smoking this leather cigar in the gift section of Buc-ee's in Texas, and you're just going to be shrouded in a blanket of leather. Or go to Cavender's into the boot section. Oh, I love that smell.
So much leather.
So much leather.
Boy, nose burn, leather, and I'm getting some of that Nicaraguan.
But I'm not getting
Earth.
really the sweetness of the Jalapa.
I have no sweetness whatsoever.
No,
I'm getting balls strength in it. I mean, it's a strong cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying strong.
Yeah, I'm getting full body here. I'm getting a blast of leather. I'm getting a blast of chocolate. I'm getting some nicotine.
Smoke profile's all pretty cool. It's got it coming out both ends. It's a nice looking box press cigar.
I should mention the red is available in 3 sizes. Only the Robusto is the box press. So we are smoking the box press tonight. Always a nice treat to get a box press. Okay. Well, I'll come back to it. You're right. Smoke production's ample. The aroma, both you guys
Aroma was really
commented
nice.
on the
It really
aroma
was.
when I lit up. Good aroma. We drink beer here on the show, so maybe we should probably talk about that, Mr. Yak Boy.
Yeah, especially because in a couple of beers I won't be able to talk about it.
I've already had 4. Well, I chugged one. That doesn't count, right?
It maybe it counts.
I heard if you drink it over the sink, it doesn't count.
Fourth Tap Brewing Co-op.
I've actually been there.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
Located in Austin, Texas. We
hate
are
it.
drinking the Kung Fu Robot IPA.
Wait a minute. Our movie tonight is Ninja Robot. And the beer is Kung Fu Robot IPA?
Could it be
That is so
coincidence?
crazy. I have chosen the right beer.
The Kung Fu Robot
I am a master.
is a IPA. It is listed as an American IPA, but it has a very low IBU, only 43, which
That's
I would
not
label
American,
that,
right?
that I would label that more in the European style.
Correct. American IPA is something in 60 and above.
But
Right.
how? I can't. No,
when I think of when people-
I've got to interrupt. How is it that, like, when we opened it, I could smell the hops from like
Well,
a foot,
now
2
they
foot
use
away?
Citra and Mosaic, which in this instance, I mean, it's
Aroma-wise, it was amazing.
right. It's a bouquet of flowers. It's
Well, it's also a bouquet of hot. I got that
But
hop.
it's the what I refer to as in that it's you can taste the hops, you can taste the bitterness, but when I think of an IPA like an American style, it's that back end, that last little bit, and it's going
No, I'll
to be
say
nothing.
this is way more of a front end hop beer.
And so it's just like to me, I wouldn't consider that the American style of IPA, which would just be like a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, it's confusing because I got the hop smell and that aroma from those hops. I stuck my nose in it some more, and I got pure grapefruit.
Right.
I took a swallow. I got a little bitterness with that grapefruit, and no bitterness on the back end.
Right.
I don't know.
It's like I said, it's a 43 IBU. It's a 7% ABV, so it's got a little bit of strength to it.
Yeah.
Fourth Tap is very new. They've been around and started. They opened their doors to the public in late 2015. It is as I said, it is Co-op, a worker-owned brewery located in North Austin. A group of people came together from Houston, San Antonio, Corpus, Austin, all came together and started working on this, and they started making their beers. Basically, as they say, after 6 years of preparation, research, drinking beers, and development, brewing beers, we finally opened our doors to focus on using inspired ingredients to make honest beer. We've been brewing and sharing our beer ever since.
Their beers are really nice off the tap wall. I will say this, shout out to Fourth Tap for hosting Lola, which is local opera artist. Very fun event if you're into that kind of thing.
I thought we talked about pushing his pro-opera agenda on the show. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Lola.
I'm done. Lola.
Local
La, la,
opera.
la, la,
what does that stand for? Local opera.
I don't know.
You don't even know. Thanks for promoting it, Lola. I don't know what that is.
No, it's local opera artist.
It's got feeding them?
No, like they'll come out and
do
sing.
Opera at the brew.
Right.
Is it a brew pub?
It's more of a brewery.
It is a brewery.
Okay.
I mean, they've got space to where you can go in and drink, and
but they invited opera people to come in.
They have it's not just your standard brewery. They do have a full tap room, so like you can just go in.
Glorious.
I'll admit.
Fourth Tap is glorious.
I'm the guy that pulls. Oh, microbrewery, sweet. Pulls in. There's the hipster out there with his ukulele. All right, put it in reverse. Let's go somewhere else. I'm picturing pulling in. There's some opera singers out there. Maybe I just hit the gas and run.
If like if I'm getting out of my car and like all of a sudden they're chanting Carmina Burana and I just feel that it just building up like I'm here to drink
Pull
beer.
Up. Vesti la Juba.
It's the first time Tud's ever done his opera singing on the show. He went to college for opera singing. We never heard it before.
I know.
I like it. All right. Good job, Fourth Tap Brewing Co-op.
And their beer is really good. It really is.
This is just a weird one because it's a lot of grapefruit and not too much bitterness from an American style IPA. But I will say this: 4 beers in, and I would say this 1 beer in. I like it. It's very.
Yeah, I do too.
It's
in terms of the IPA
keep
profile,
in mind,
I like it.
Keep in mind, a week ago in Texas, I'm at my daughter's soccer game. It's 30 degrees and freezing. Today we hit about 87, 88. I'm in shorts. It tastes really, really good. I know we always say that this is a good summer beer, but I mean it is very refreshing. But I if you just gave me this thing, there's no way I would say it's an American IPA.
Really, because I mean you would blind test this up against Sculpin, the grapefruit Sculpin, and see that it's not that dissimilar.
Reacts, all the bitterness is right on the mouthfeel, right on the initial impact, and then it's just nothing but kind of that grapefruit on the backside.
But it still has mouthfeel though. It's not like the Medusa that will, once it got through, it was gone forever.
That's true. It does have a nice linger.
This clings around too.
It's got a nice little linger. I like it. I'm kind of cool with it. I do like it. Okay. Well, it has a presence which should do well against a strong cigar. Keep smoking, boys. Before going into tonight's movie of Robot Ninja, we are going to now cut to our interview with J.R. Bookwalter director, writer, distributor,
this is cool.
editor, composer of Robot Ninja. It's a fun talk.
If you like indie movies, if you've even gotten halfway into the craft, it's just so cool to hear.
This guy has done it all, 80s and beyond. So let's cut now to our interview done earlier this evening with J.R. Bookwalter, and then we'll come back and we will walk you through Robot Ninja. All right. I'd like to introduce our special guest for tonight's show. Writer, director, editor, composer, distributor, you name it, he's done it in the underground filmmaking world. Mr. J.R. Bookwalter. J.R., thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. The pleasure's all ours. Let me just preface this discussion. As a horror kid who was born in the small town of Alliance, Ohio, and then was shuffled off at a young age to an even smaller town in Central Texas, JR's story was always somewhat of an inspiration to me. Hence why we'll smoke the Inspirado cigar this evening.
Hey.
See? Yeah.
Tonight's just all about winning.
But knowing that the little town where I was born and all my family still lives, that JR was off making these crazy movies just up the road, it just I always knew his name. Here we had a fellow horror kid turned filmmaker from a tiny town, Ohio, made one of the classic straight-to-video zombie films of all time. He dropped out of film school. I also dropped out of film classes, close enough, to make my first zombie flick during summer break from college. I just always held that name, J.R. Bookwalter, up there as someone who defied the odds and broke through like I hope to someday. And if memory serves me, I actually think I submitted my little zombie film to JR's Tempe Entertainment way back when, but my memory doesn't serve me so great these days, so I'm not sure. I wonder why.
What was the title?
Smoke Some Kill.
What was it?
Smoke Some Kill. It was a black and white. We referred to the zombies as clones, and it was a gang of criminals kind of harvested these clones for some evil scientists, and well, it's enough about me. It had its charm, but yeah, we had a little trouble finding a home. It wasn't quite as clever and brilliant as perhaps I thought it was.
Decades later, he's like, "Oh, so you're the guy."
Anywho, having you here holds a special meaning for me. So just thank you again, JR.
My pleasure. That was quite an introduction.
Well, let's dive right into the. Let's get things started by talking about the seminal zombie film, if we may be so bold. Let's talk just briefly about The Dead Next Door, 1989, the film that started it all. As most diehard horror fans of the 80s will certainly know the story, I'll recap quickly for our listeners who are in the dark. Upon viewing the original Evil Dead, and correct me if this is wrong, JR wrote a letter to Sam Raimi asking him to take a look at some of his early short films, possibly I think to get a job on Raimi's production team. And next thing you know, you're traveling to Detroit to show your short films in person to Sam Raimi, his producing partner Rob Tappert, and Bruce Campbell, and yada yada yada. Raimi soon decides to executive produce your feature film debut, The Dead Next Door. Is that close?
Pretty close, actually. The way it went down is I called their office and left a voice, or not a voicemail. This is before left a message on their answering machine, and a few days later got a call back from Sam Raimi, and we talked for a little bit. He put me on with Bruce Campbell. My goal was really to, at that point, I was looking to do like industrial videos and just I was kind of wanting to take the George Romero route. I wasn't really looking to make a feature, but I was looking to get in on the ground floor as maybe a production assistant. They were in early planning for Evil Dead 2 at that point, and I was a huge fan of the first film, of course. And but yeah, then basically that led to him saying, "Well, come on up and we'll meet." And I dragged my Super 8 projector and a selection of my short films, and the rest is history, as they say.
Well, that's one of those stories, you hear and it's just too insane to possibly be true. Well, there's so many.
I still don't believe it.
Well, there's so many zombies in The Dead Next Door, and they're all created very close to that classic Romero look that I love. The only way zombies kind of, I think, should look. Teal blue skin, bright red blood splatter. There's also kind of a Ermey influence, I think, with the kind of demon aesthetic, and then maybe a little bit of Fulci. I just love the look of the dead in Dead Next Door. And from the very first scene, you start the film off in these wide shots where the undead are just fucking everywhere, and they're eating everybody in sight, and it's just so bloody and absolutely glorious. The bit where the severed zombie head bites the guy's hand, and then you see the finger come out his throat is still one in any horror movie. It's one of my favorite gore bits. I imagine a big chunk of the budget, I think the budget was around 150, 175. Was a big chunk of that makeup, special effects needed just to kind of set the film apart from all the others, the horror stuff out there?
Believe it or not, no. The problem was the budget ultimately came in probably closer to 125. Nobody really knows what the actual number was because it drug out over 4 years, so it was quite an adventure. But we really to be honest, probably pissed away a good chunk of the budget with delays and overhead. We had a number of these different shabby offices that we had where we were trying to run things out of, and I mean, the makeup effects were probably one of the smaller portions of the budget, which always surprises people because it's such a big part of the movie. But no, those guys were really resourceful and did tons of stuff with very little. But there was probably about over 1,500 people that we counted up that came out from Northeast Ohio to be extras in that thing. So
it's just
we had wardrobe, we had to put in costume all these people and put makeup on them and all that. So I mean, I don't know what we actually spent on makeup, but I do know it was a smaller portion of the budget. The big mistakes that we made along the way certainly cost more than that stuff did.
Well, that makes sense. For the listeners, how did you pull off those shots of the undead trying to climb the fence on Pennsylvania Avenue to get to the White House, or when we see them marching towards the Washington Monument? I mean, there's no way in hell you could pull off stuff like that today. Like, was that just run and gun, just jump out of the van and film until they almost arrest you, or?
Well, yeah, we very nearly got arrested, basically. But because I had early in the pre-production down there to the film office and tried to do it through the official channels, and they basically said, well, it's going to cost this much to do this much to do that. You'll have to get hire police, blah blah blah. And then she ended it by saying, under no circumstances can you have anybody on the White House fence. So, me being the young kid I was and being undeterred, I was like, well, we'll just go down there and shoot it. So we shot basically the bulk of the rest of the film, and then we decided to drive down there in 2 vehicles and with a ragtag group of our crew, and we said, all right, we're going to shoot the White House stuff first in case we get caught. So that's the most important. And to keep in mind, we're shooting on Super 8 film, so the camera is very small. It's not like we have a huge rig of stuff. But it was basically everybody got made up while we were driving around the ellipse. They're getting in makeup and wardrobe. We jumped out. I very quickly told them, okay, do this, do that, do this. I rattled off 1, 2, 3 different angles. And as I'm shooting the third angle, I'm kind of, with my peripheral vision to the left and to the right, I'm seeing White House police coming towards us from both sides. Just at that moment, the one vehicle came back around the ellipse, and we hightailed it out of there, jumped in the car, and drove around. By the time we made it halfway around the ellipse, the other vehicle that we had already been pulled over. They had the CIA, the FBI, the White House police, the Secret Service. They had drug sniffing dogs. They had everything you could possibly imagine. They had pretty much closed the road off around the White House and pulled us over. Long story short, my co-producer Scott Plummer had gone to the University of Akron, so he had his student ID on him. So we were able to sort of pass the whole thing off as a student project, and by some grace of God, they actually let us keep the film, because I think when they saw what we were doing, they were just sort of passed it off as, oh, it's just a bunch of kids goofing around or whatever. Yeah. And then the capper to the story was, they were like, well, before you shoot anything else, because we did have other shots that we wanted to do, they're like, you have to go talk to the film office. So I had to go to the film office, talked to the same very nice lady who had told me all this probably a year prior to that, that we wouldn't be able to do. And she was so amused by the whole story that she scribbled out a quick permit and basically let us go shoot the other shots. Basically said, just don't get in trouble, stay out of everybody's way. You can't tell people to move. If you can do your handful of shots, it's fine. Nobody will charge you anything, and blah, 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 blah. So somehow, by some miracle, we actually were able to get that footage. You're right. I was there about 10 years ago, and you can't even get anywhere near where we were to shoot. Even walking, you just can't even get up to the fence.
Yeah, we stuck a camera and shot a scene in a mall once, and I thought that was ballsy.
Not quite.
Well, this is what you do when you're 19 or 20 and have limited resources. You just the film was always the thing that was the most important thing. So and for whatever reason, the cast and crew would go along with all this crazy stuff because I was really the only one that had any film experience, and I say that in air quotes. All I had done was Super 8 short films at that point, but somehow everybody just sort of blindly followed me.
Well, the end result,
we managed to pull it off.
The end result is so worth it. Another thing I appreciate that was different about The Dead Next Door was the storyline angle you injected concerning the cult factor, kind of a Jim Jones like cult, which is something I hadn't seen and I'd seen almost everything at that point in the genre. I thought it was smart setting your film, putting that angle in there. Where did that concept come from, or was that intentional to kind of come at the zombie genre from a different look?
Well, it wasn't so much that. It was the movie's really a hodgepodge of sort of a lot of things in my life, I guess, is the best way to put it. And when I was just the right age, I remember as a kid when the tragedy at Guyana happened in the real Jim Jones thing where he gave, everybody committed suicide in his name and all that. It always just sort of stuck in the back of my head, how scary that was, that somebody could have that kind of control over people. And when I think when I started writing the script, the characters sort of made their trek to Akron, and it was just about the scientists and all that. And somewhere about that, probably the halfway point as I was writing it, I was like, well, I need something here. And it just, I don't know, it popped into my head, and I just thought, well, that would be an interesting thing. I've never seen that before. And I was trying to go to great lengths to not just make a ripoff of George Romero's films, which of course are my, among my all-time favorites. And so that was it just struck me as an interesting idea that I hadn't seen before.
I think it definitely helped to kind of give it its own flavor, separate from a lot of the other films that were out there. Well, I do.
You don't expect it because it just becomes this whole detour that you're like.
It does.
The zombie squad's kind of going on their mission, and then suddenly it's like, wait a minute, what just happened here?
Exactly, and I like stuff that kind of comes out unexpected like that too. I do want to move on, but real quick, am I correct? Before we move on from The Dead Next Door, am I correct in that none of the sound that you shot on location when you wrapped was usable? So you sat down in the studio with Bruce Campbell and pretty much recreated the entire soundtrack?
Yeah, what happens with it was there's two ways to record sound for Super 8 film. One is called single system, where the sound stripe's actually on the film, and it's the quality's not great. And we really didn't do that. That was sort of a guide track. What we did was double system sound, where we had a separate reel-to-reel recorder that was recording. The stock was actually like Super 8 magnetic full coat stock, for lack of a better explanation. But what happened is we had recorded all the sound on location, and it wasn't so much the quality of the sound, it was the technical and logistical problems of being able to use it. You had to transfer it to 35 full coat and then sync it all up. It was just going to cost even more money and be just a nightmare, and maybe not even, the quality wouldn't have been that great in the end anyway. So it was just sort of deemed that the easiest thing to do was just to treat it as a blank slate audio wise and just pretty much start from scratch. And that was kind of Sam's call, and I said, okay, let's whatever it will take to get it finished. And he turned to Bruce Campbell, who had done a lot of the post production and sound work for their early films, and he basically, said, "Bruce, sit down with this guy, figure out what he needs, and let's get this sucker finished." So that's
cool.
That's what we did. I think Bruce and I spent about a month or something like that, month and a half. And I had shipped all my gear out. I was this all happened in LA, and I was out there for something else, and just as a happenstance that this even came about, because otherwise I think the film would have probably languished even longer in limbo.
It just seems like such a mountainous hurdle to overcome as far as but I guess if you're going to do it, there's a lot more boring characters you could be stuck with for 6 weeks than Bruce Campbell.
Oh no, absolutely. Bruce was great, and I mean it was a learning experience for me, because really it was my first look at, we were in a 24-track studio, and it was the first time I was seeing the process. I had read about it and all that kind of stuff, but I really learned so much through that entire process. And even there would be times where I might not agree with Bruce or whatever, and I'd be like, "Oh, I don't agree with that decision. I'm mad at him now." And he'd crack some joke or whatever and make some quip, and then it's like, I can't be mad at him. It's Bruce Campbell, for God's sake. So no, I have very vivid memories of that whole experience, and learned so much. And it really, the main thing is it just helped get the film done so that we could get on to the next phase of it.
And you have recently upscaled that to 4K?
Well, no, I went back to the Super 8 film and did a 2K film scan from the original film, and basically reassembled the whole thing. And part of that process, I was able to actually take that original audio with the original cast members and rebuild that mix. There was a few holes in it where I had to fill with some of the existing dubbed mix. But anyways, I was able to cobble back together, so you can actually, on the Blu-ray version now, you can actually watch the film kind of 4 different ways. You can watch it 16:9, like a regular HD television. Right. You can watch it in the original aspect ratio, and you can watch it with the 2 audio tracks, the original dub track that Bruce Campbell did, and the original cast mix, where you hear the people's voices for the first time.
Oh wow!
Oh wow! That I didn't know that was on there.
That's awesome.
You can get that on Amazon.
Yes. Yeah, cool. It's available through Amazon or the Tempe Video online store. It's pretty much available everywhere right now through our distributor.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, up next, Robot Ninja in 1989. We're going to talk about that just here in a little bit. So I'd like to kind of give you the floor for Robot Ninja. But I would like to touch on a few other early efforts, which are all currently available for streaming on Amazon, either via Prime or for rental. For tonight's show, we watched Dead Next Door on. We all rented it off Amazon, and
Correct.
then Robot Ninja was on Prime.
Yep.
I have a few questions for JR about that.
I also watched Maximum Impact
in a little bit, and Maximum Impact,
oh God.
which I'm about.
You still wanted to talk to me.
It's funny you say that, Tut. But real quick, I do have one question before we talk about the Robot Ninja campaign, JR.
Sure.
Watching Robot Ninja, the gang leader's name, Buddy Revell, that can't be a coincidence, sharing that name with the tough kid from 3 O'Clock High.
No, that was absolutely stolen from 3 O'Clock High.
Okay.
Nice.
When I saw it, and I just thought, I don't know, for some reason it just seemed like the perfect name for
I love that. I love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorites. And I spent about 15 minutes Googling it, trying to find where someone had asked you that. I couldn't find anything about it. And I was like, because they're right around the same time. I think 3 O'Clock High was maybe 88, maybe.
Yeah, I must have saw it right when it came out on home video.
Well, kudos on that on that shout out. I immediately picked that up. All right, well, moving on. We will come back to Robot Ninja, but Tut, you did bring up 1992's Maximum Impact. 2 things stuck out with me.
Or as we like to call it, Minimum Impact. That's what the cast and crew called it, Minimum Impact.
Oh, that's... Well, I guess that might answer this first question I have. The use of pseudonyms in the film credits on this one, directed by Lance Randus, edited by Daryl Squat Pump, cinematography by Brock N. Lenz. you know,
It's
sometimes
a little on the nose, right?
a little bit. You know, sometimes filmmakers will fluff their credits, give stuff they did. They'll give fake names just to seem more professional. You know, you don't want to see the same guy's name 20 times in the credits, so they'll give. I was going to ask if that was an attempt to do that, or just to keep your name as off this as possible. I'm guessing maybe that was the latter. Maybe.
Well, when it was first released on VHS in 91, 92, it was it had my name on it. So if you look on the IMDb, my name is still on it. The Lance Randus thing was that was always a pseudonym that I used when I made something that I was less proud of, let's say. So I tried to attempt to, I guess maybe rewrite history, but that's dramatic. But everybody that knows my films knows that I made all those films. There was actually, that was the middle part of what I call the 6-pack of shot on video films for Cinema Home Video at the time that were made in 90, later part of 91 and the first part of 92. So that's actually probably, I won't say it's one of the more watchable ones, but it's a little better than what
it is highly watchable. I actually watched it first. I told these guys, I was like, man, it's a little over an hour. It flows really, really quickly. I mean, you can see that you're working with nothing on, especially on this one. But
what was the budget? Do you mind if I ask?
We would shoot them it was shot back to back with another film called Chick Boxer, and it was basically 2 movies for $5,000. And then after that, we did 2 movies called Galaxy of the Dinosaurs and Humanists from Atlantis that were 2 movies for $2,500. So there was literally no money.
Yeah, so that's guerrilla at its best.
It's a movie for $2,500 that flows, and that actually leads me to a point with the next film I want to talk to you about. But speaking of throwing a fake name on a project, with your permission, JR, would you mind if I go back to my old films and throw the name Marty Coleslaw on all my
Not at all.
Okay.
I encourage people to. In fact, some of the names that there's one that we've used over and over called Yolanda Squat Pump, and that's actually been adopted by other filmmakers and put in their credits, which I think is hysterical. So,
nice.
Those names are public domain, I guess.
Oh, right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. One last question about Maximum Impact, because I really did get a kick out of this little flick. But there's a dialogue scene where some bad guys are swapping stories about their most gruesome kills. And one guy tells a tale about chopping off some poor bastard named Tony Timponi's cock and balls and mailing them to his mom, who has a heart attack when she opens the box. Was that a playful jab at longtime Fangoria editor Tony Timponi, or was there like some real bad beef with you where you're like,
I'm sending Tony a message.
I'm sending Tony a message here.
No, totally playful. I mean, Tony was responsible for the Dead Next Door coverage. They did an excellent 4-page spread in the magazine.
I remember. I still have it, actually.
I mean, that's really how everybody first heard about this movie, and I think even some people still remember that article to this day. So it was certainly more of a loving jab than anything else.
Okay.
It was just a way to put his
name in. That's cool. That's good to know, because Tony always seemed like such a nice guy. I was like, man, I hope this was done in fun.
Yeah, it was probably should have used his name elsewhere in the movie. But not to think about it.
Well, I want to touch on one more early film. I could go on and on here, but I gotta stop it at some point. 95, a few years later, The Sandman, which is also currently on Amazon Prime. Despite the minuscule budgets, one of the things I appreciate in these films, which is very much on display in The Sandman, is despite the filmmaking tools that you used available to you. I mean, you're shooting on video, you're directing, clearly, inexperienced actors for the most part. There's a very disciplined approach taken with the camera work. Long pans, really well thought out creative cuts. And with Sandman, you even utilize kind of an almost Carpenter-esque score to really good effect. I got kind of notes of They Live in the Village of the Damned score, kind of mine. These are things I just noticed time and time again in your films, and it's these little things like how you move the camera, how you cut, and the music. I mean, they add to the production, really rising above its means. Obviously, Romero was a huge influence, like you said, but after watching this and thinking back on some of your other stuff, I mean, was Carpenter a big one too?
Oh, huge! Yeah, no, I mean, he would probably be, I would dare say, number 2 or 3 easily. And he shows up in some of the other films I've done, like Ozone. Has a number of scenes that are sort of ripped right out of Carpenter's mythology too. So I mean, I always tried to put my own spin on things, but I'm a fanboy at heart, probably first and foremost than anything else. So that stuff just seeps in, whether it's intentional or not. It just lends itself to that. I mean, The Sandman in particular was probably more
The Fog,
inspired by Wes Craven, of course.
Okay. I saw a lot of The Fog in.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting that you pick up on those. I mean, my more direct influence was The Nightmare on Elm Street, of course. But
okay.
But yeah, I mean, once the whole, it just seemed like a very Carpenter-esque sort of situation in this trailer park with this cast of misfits.
Well, it did, and just the way you set in movie after movie, the way you kind of established these small Ohio towns is kind of a very Carpenter kind of approach of just absolute ordinary houses, corner stores, and all that, but along with the scores and the editing, it just you do a very good job of establishing dread quickly, or like in Maximum Impact, you just sum up a really depressing existence very very quickly. All right, well, this is I'll stop there as far as this is your filmmaking life portion of the interview. I could go on and on, but maybe we'll get to chat and pick up where we left off in the future. The reason you're with us tonight, JR, is to talk about the new Indiegogo campaign you've just launched to promote the brand new 2K restoration Blu-ray release of 1989's Robot Ninja. JR, the floor is yours. Tell us and our listeners and our viewers a bit about the process of going back to the original 16mm AB roll and breathing new life into Robot Ninja. And, tell us a little bit about what a crowdsourcing site like Indiegogo can do to help, complete the mission, if you will.
Sure. One thing I'll probably point out first is that the Robot Ninja is actually my second film, shot in the summer of '89. But Dead Next Door was the first one, but because there was about a year gap from when Dead Next Door was finished to when it was actually first released on VHS, Robot Ninja actually came out first. So Dead Next Door is actually, the release date of Dead Next Door is actually 1990, but the Robot Ninja is '89. So anyways, what happened was with Robot Ninja was this was a situation I jumped into really immediately after finishing Dead Next Door, and it was more of an opportunity that was afforded to me because I was going to produce a film for another filmmaker, a horror anthology that wound up not happening, and the same financier said, well, what do you have? So let's you and I do something. I saw some of Dead Next Door. Maybe we can put something together. And I all my projects I had at the time, I didn't want to do them for a low budget. So I didn't really have anything, but he threw out this title, Robot Ninja. And he said, can you make something out of this? Now, keep in mind, this is the late 80s, and there's tons of Robot Terminator, The Terminator, all these kind of movies going on. And stupid me, I decided, well, sure, I'll make this, but I'm going to sort of make it a different way. It's not the most obvious thing that you would think of would be a literally to make a movie about a robot ninja. No, instead I decided to make a movie about a frustrated comic book artist who decides to become his most famous character in the hopes of avenging taking his wrath out on this gang that's terrorizing the small town that he lives in. So it immediately was sort of like a different flavor and a completely different film from the Dead Next Door, because it's much darker and it's certainly probably more gruesome even than the Dead Next Door. And when the film came out originally, I was not terribly pleased with it. It got a number of very scathing reviews, not the least of which was, I think, Weekly Variety just completely savaged it. Fangoria ripped it a new one. It was not a particularly well-liked movie, so oddly, it's the one movie in my entire catalog that has sort of been lost to time, because it was released in 1989 on VHS and then never again. It kind of completely skipped the whole DVD era. It really wasn't even available on streaming up until recently when I put it up there. And so it just sort of lent itself to, all my other films have had some sort of remastering or restoration work over the years, but this was sort of the one that was sort of lost by the wayside. So the negative turned up, the original cut 16 millimeter cut negative turned up about 2 years ago, and that was sort of the impetus to kind of do this, because much like The Dead Next Door, it was pretty much a process of just doing a 2K scan of the original film negative, and then just assemble it, and we're doing new titles, and just obviously cleaning it up as much as we possibly can, and complementing that with tons of new extras. And if anybody who bought The Dead Next Door Ultimate Edition on Indiegogo 3 years ago probably has a good idea of what to expect, but we're trying to go even a little bit further than that film. So this one is more. Dead Next Door was kind of an easy sell because it had a reputation. People knew about the movie. Robot Ninja is sort of an unknown to a lot of people. I mean, it has its core group of people, and mostly a lot of VHS collectors remember it fondly. But beyond that, it's sort of like having to re-educate the public about what this movie is and how it was lost to time in the first place.
I was about to say, it seems like you're getting quite a bit of Twitter action off of it. I've been seeing quite a few people share it around.
I believe you launched it maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and it's already at about 25%. I mean, it seems like a very strong start. Along with using Indiegogo as far as pre-orders for folks just to pre-order the Blu-ray, there's also, like most of these campaigns, there's levels where maybe they can buy more, get T-shirts. There's kind of different incentives, correct?
Yeah, I mean, and we're adding, because it's a 60-day campaign. The first time I did this with Dead Next Door, it was only a 30-day campaign, and that's kind of stressful on me because it just, you kind of have to be on your game. And the Indiegogo, the whole crowdfunding thing is not, when I did it the first time, I didn't realize that it actually is almost like a full-time job in itself to sort of keep that, keep the momentum going and pushing it. So this time I decided to spread it out over 60 days, which I thought would be less stressful on me. and
that makes sense.
To facilitate that, where every Friday I'm putting up a new perk, something new, just to kind of spice things up. And the main thing, of course, is to push the Blu-ray and allow people to pre-order it. The first 500 units will have a Indiegogo exclusive slipcover, so that's sort of the main impetus to buy it there. I mean, there will be copies that will be available. Obviously, we're pressing 1,000 units to start with, so there will be copies available elsewhere later down the line, but without the slipcover. And of course, a lot of the perks are pretty much exclusive to Indiegogo. There's a couple of books. There's a comic book adaptation of the movie, like a T-shirt and things like that. So
very cool. Okay.
And more to
it's
come.
Quite meta.
We're rolling out a few things here.
Well, everyone go check out the Indiegogo campaign. Real quick, I think we have a unique opportunity here as filmmakers to kind of pick your brain. As I said, we watched all of your films, either renting them on Amazon or streaming on Prime. As your own distributor through the Tempe label, did you consider Netflix? Was there reasons why, pros and cons, why you went the Amazon route, or what makes that decision a Netflix, or is Netflix not a decision? Is that either they have to welcome you, whereas Amazon is a little more open arms?
Well, it's a funny story. I go back to I'm trying to remember what year it was, but if you remember when Netflix first launched their streaming service, when it was only available on this little Roku box before anybody knew what a Roku box was, that's all that box did. I had always done business with Netflix on the DVD side, and they were very supportive and bought every title that I released. And when they launched the streaming service, they were not getting any interest from the studios or from even the bigger independent labels. So smaller labels like me we had a red carpet treatment. I mean, they brought all the stuff in. They had a great deal at the beginning where they were paying some absurd money, like 50 cents per stream or something like that. I mean, which seems rich compared to what Amazon pays now.
Yeah.
So when they started this service, I was getting these ridiculous checks every month, looking at them going, I can't believe that this is crazy that people are watching this stuff and the checks are coming in. Well, flash forward about 7-8 months later, Netflix approaches me and says, well, look, we're burning through a lot of money here. We didn't expect to. So we need to change the deal. It's either we take your stuff off the service or we'll just license it for a flat fee. So I said, okay. They went ahead and paid a license fee for everything again, and they kept it up there for 2 or 3 years. Well, during that 2 or 3 years, they made this deal with Starz, if you remember when they made a big deal about that. That actually enabled them to get some Hollywood movies and some studio stuff.
Right.
And that's really their first sort of taste of this is what they wanted their streaming service to be. So eventually, the long story short, we got kicked out the door. When the contracts were up and all that, they didn't need the independents anymore.
That fits kind of what I was thinking, because those early days of Netflix streaming were glorious. There were so many just low budget movies I had only read about in Fangoria all those years that all of a sudden were getting a home. Like you said, they were just they were hungry to gobble up whatever they could get. And
it was really like the Wild West. I mean, it honestly was. It was just they just anything they could get their hands on, and they were spending a fortune because they needed certain it's called digibeta masters, higher end masters, and they were paying to transfer the stuff, and all the costs were on them, and they just literally rolled out the red carpet for the little labels. So it was nice, but it didn't last.
Well, let me.
So it's not a matter that I probably could get some of these titles back on Netflix, but it's a different economy. The guy who originally ran Netflix that I started with moved on to YouTube and Google Play, so he runs that now, and I do business with him there as well. But Netflix is just a different animal now. They're making their own original content. It's just they would probably eventually license this film or that film, but they'll pick and choose what they want. I don't think the day where they would just put up my entire catalog will probably ever happen again.
Okay, I guess my last question as far as the distribution in 2018 is, if a low-budget filmmaker, in your opinion, pulls together $5-10 grand and does an ultra, J.R. Bookwalter style low-budget movie and gets it on to Amazon, let's say Prime streaming, can he realistically expect to make any money off of that? How does that work from an income standpoint? Because it seems like that's the major avenue of reaching a mass audience, but does that equate to any revenues in your pocket?
Not really.
The three of us watched all streamed Maximum Impact over the last week. Will you see even
he'll see 25 cents from all three.
No, it'd be a little more than 25 cents, but I'll probably be able to take my family to McDonald's and only buy my kids Happy Meals.
You're welcome, JR.
But I appreciate those, and my kids will appreciate those.
Well, how do you make money in the business?
Well, no, that's the problem. DVD and Blu-ray is sort of on its way out, or at least that's what everybody keeps saying. It's turned into a more of a collector's market. Something like these when you restore a movie and you put it out, you can probably still sell a couple thousand discs over time. With the streaming is all the rage now, but the reality, the economic reality, is that it's just digital pennies essentially. It's not. There's not a real. And a person with one film putting on Amazon Prime is likely to never recoup their budget, to be honest. And Amazon just changed the rules of the game starting March 1st. Now you have to hit some extremely high number of hours of streaming before you fall into a tier where you even get any sort of anything that would be approximating any kind of real royalty. I mean, everybody else that is below that threshold is going to be making literally pennies per hour.
Well, on that depressing note.
Sorry to depress you with that.
Well, no, I appreciate you being candid, and I thought I kind of had a sense maybe you would be a good guy to ask as far as that concern. Look, JR, we could talk here all night, but I just want to wish you the best of luck with the Robot Ninja campaign. Everyone out there watching us, listening to us, whether you're one of our beer listeners, whether you're a cigar guy, whether you're a film guy, go check out. Just watch the trailer on the Indiegogo site. You can find it on Facebook, Robot Ninja, and you can find it on Instagram. Has a really you're really good at keeping the Instagram page going. Check those out.
And if you can hear this, let's go rent some movies and or even stream off Amazon Prime. Let's get some Happy Meals going.
Let's get some Happy Meals for JR's kids, damn it.
A lot of the catalog is now on Vimeo on demand, and that actually is a place that I sort of encourage people to watch this stuff. I mean, because there at least the rentals and even the purchases, most of the titles are like $5. You can own it and stream it anytime you want. And even if you rent it, you can keep it for like a week. You have a week to watch a rental, which most places are lucky to get 24 hours.
Oh, Vimeo, okay. And then also they can go to tempevideo.com to your store, where they can buy hard copies of all your DVDs, Dead Next Door posters, all sorts of cool stuff. So, and that's quarter pounder money.
That's right. This is how the McDonald's analogy. Yes,
that's the good stuff. JR, I feel like I've been building up to this interview since I was a little kid. Thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. We wish you all the best with Robot Ninja and all your other projects, and maybe we'll touch base again down the road and talk some more.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Bookwalter, have a good night.
You too.
Oh, that was a good talk.
That's pretty cool, man.
Man, I love talking to guys who've actually been in the, not just talkers, guys that have actually done it all, man. They've done it.
Yeah.
That's what I do not miss about dabbling in the film world. A lot of talkers, a lot of bullshitters, and JR is not that. He seems to have a really centered piece about his place in film history and what he's doing and what he's done, and man, that was fun.
I'll tell you this. It's easy to be critical and be the reviewer, and everybody has an opinion. And, I'm not saying that if you haven't, your opinion's not valid, but there's a difference when you've actually tried to do something. It's a difference when you've actually put together a short, put together an episodic, project, put together a full-length feature. You understand all the freaking trials and tribulations that go into that, and it's hard for me to it's hard for me to look at a project now and say, oh, that sucks, or that person's a hack, or whatever, because I know how difficult it is now.
So we can do Trumbo movies again?
No.
Not
quite
until
there.
The end of the year.
Not quite there. Okay.
And prior approval will be required.
It was a good talk, and he seems like a really good dude. So
Yes,
that was fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely check out his Indiegogo. Throw some money. Let's get this thing to 2K.
Let's do it. Before I walk us through the movie of the night, Robot Ninja, Tut, before we get too sloshed, you want to do some links?
Yeah, I was about to say the beer's kind of flowing, so I need to get this out of the way quickly.
A little bit.
Hit us on Twitter at TNCCcast, Instagram TNCC_podcast. Join us on Facebook Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Join us on YouTube, which is like Tuesday Night Cigar Club.
Tuesday night?
Just type in Tuesday Night Cigar Club, and we'll pop
Seems
up
legit.
there. Got a couple more subscriptions last week, so that was kind of cool.
I saw that.
Also join to the website. First of all, if you're going to buy a cigar, go to the famous smoke shop link. Also, let me point you to the Sweet Jane link that is on the website. My wife loves Fat Bottom Betty's, and I did not call her that. She loves the cigar Fat Bottom Betty's. So yeah, hit the website up. If you're going to buy something off of Amazon, just go to our website, click the Amazon link, then do your shopping from there. It helps us pay the bills. And thank you for the guys that have already done that. That was very nice.
Thank you.
I think I'm done.
Thank you from the bottom of our dark, drunken hearts.
Not quite yet,
We're getting there.
but almost. We are dark hearts, though.
Yeah, we are. Indeed. Real quick before I do Robot Ninja, the cigar, we were all now probably about an inch or more into it. We're getting going. Immediately, we had some strength. We had a strong, lingering tingling in the nose.
Yeah.
But I think we all agreed leather was the
Yes.
the flavor of the day early on. Anything else, guys? It's so weird. I'm just having such a hard time wrapping my head around a Macanudo with balls.
Well, there's that strength.
That was, I guess, nice, maybe?
Well, it's the number one selling mild cigar in the world. The original Macanudo. They are just known. Cody, as I mentioned earlier, just smoked those things.
I smoked.
Yeah.
It's a perfect morning breakfast.
I smoked boxes of those things.
Boxes of those things, and some little tins you'd have with your coffee.
Those are the best
the
ones.
tins?
Yeah, the little tins are the best.
The tins I have.
This is-
when you wanted
Cody
to
was the one who actually turned me on to the Macanudo tins.
when you I was like, hey, when I wanted to, one of the things that I always loved is, just grab a little smoke when you're driving down the road on a long car trip. Just open one up and just relax.
Yeah, a little
enjoy
bit,
the ride.
A little bit into this, I'm getting much less presence in the retrohale in the nose. It is nice, but I think we were originally correct. There's not a lot of pepper or spice.
There's a strength there, but it's not pepper. I'm getting just a almost hint of a creaminess, but not really.
Yeah, it's like just
And
barely there.
I don't know how to describe that other than like
that's
saying
that's kind of like the jalapa that's kind of like kicking it, or not the jalapa, the ometepe.
Ometepe?
Yeah.
Having had the opportunity to smoke those individual elements at a blending seminar, you kind of get a feel for what those are.
Yeah.
I think that creaminess might be that ometepe a little bit.
Yeah.
I could just see us going down to Nicaragua, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to try our new brand?" No, I just want to try that ometepe right
just
there.
Let me shove my face like Scarface with the Coke. Just let me bury my fucking face in the
just
ometepe.
a mountain of shredded ometepe.
Yeah. No, because it's so, we talked with Skip, and he was like, whether I don't know if I believe you or not, Skip, but he was like, yeah, I don't taste bread and ginger and all that. I taste Ligero, ometepe, jalapa, and I guess for those guys who that's their business to know freaking blends, that makes sense. And so I'm trying to kind of get to there, but the only way to get to there is to smoke the isolated rolls.
Leather. I do get a little bit. Excuse me. A little bit of that very subdued cream you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I'm also getting a kind of an oaky woodsiness in with that leather. It took me a minute to kind of discern what the
Sprinkled with poison ivy.
the woodsiness. A little, you get a little. I got poison oak.
Poison
oak. But no, leather, woodsy. It is a full-bodied cigar. I wouldn't suggest smoking this on an empty stomach. Oh God, Tut, you didn't have supper, did you? I'm enjoying it. It's good. It's got a nice profile to it.
Great draw, nice.
Not a lot of complexity early on, but
No.
But I mean, honestly, if
if
you took the wrapper off, had me smoke it, and say, "Who made this?" Macanudo would not be my first choice.
No, of course not. Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll come back to it, and I think the beer is fine with it. It's not bringing anything out of the cigar, but they're playing nice with each other.
I was a little, after you described the cigar, I was a little hesitant, thinking, this very floral IPA is how's that going to react with this?
They're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing okay with each other so far. But as we've come to learn, things can change on a dime with cigars or beer. Well, not beers. Pretty much. Pretty much. You drink one, you know what it is. I'm getting something in this 10th beer that I didn't get anything else. I hate my mom.
I have had.
Did I say that out loud? I don't hate my mom. I'm just teasing.
I have had beers that have changed actually on the travel down. Like the front of the mouth tastes different than the back of the mouth, which I have, and I mean some very distinct.
And you're not drunk.
Opposite
You're
flavors.
actually noticing this sober.
Right, and it's, to me, that's amazing that, you know, a blender has that kind of craft. That's like, all right, I want them to taste this on the tip. I want them to taste this on the dill. But you're right. It's consistent, even when it's complex like that. It's consistent the entire beer.
The only time I will notice differences is I've been getting a lot of growlers from my local brewery lately, and I will notice that even though it's from the same tap wall, the beer that I drink sitting at the bar there, when they put it in a growler and I bring it home, I don't know what happens, but it does kind of take on a different
It ages.
personality. No, I'm talking like an hour later. Like, I'm drinking at the thing, they fill growler, I go home and I pour one.
I don't know about that.
And I don't know what that is.
They can't keep it sealed.
But I will make it my life's work to find out what it is. That's what I do. I'm a beer.
Cody, you were about to say what? They keep it sealed?
It's like anything else. As soon as it gets poured in and they
It's
cap it,
probably temperature thing.
Temperature. I mean, it's going to lose a little bit of that initial carbonation.
And I think even the thicker growlers, even in the fridge, they don't get that cold.
No.
So they serve warmer, which we know is what some beers actually benefit from that.
Yes.
But we're beer scientists. We drink to learn and to research, if you will.
And, like I said, when it comes to beer, I don't like ice cold beer. Yes, people get their you see the commercial, they pull those bottles out of a tub of ice, like that's the worst thing in the world because you can't taste anything.
No, you can just taste your throat being
it's
frozen.
Cold liquid.
Yeah, but when you're out there in 100-degree heat and you're hunting dove,
but in your
crack
perfect
open that Coors Light,
in
baby.
your perfect world, if we get rid of that, what are all those little guys chiseling in the Coors Light cooler that hand you that beer out of thing? What are they going to do for a living?
They already got
Are
fired.
you going to hire those guys?
They already got fired from the North Pole.
Well, I always ask the question, like, this guy's going into the Rockies to climb through these ice flows and chip out beers. Why are those beers in ice flows? They had to be produced, and now they're like stuck in ice. How old are they? How long have they been in there? Are they frozen? What's going on? I've got so many questions that need answers.
That's what we're all about. We're about providing answers to America.
Here, I just found this one. It's been in the ice flow for 8 years. Drink it.
Okay. You know that would be our answer.
It's always our answer. Whenever someone proposes the question, drink this. Okay. I'll come back.
Yes.
Not necessarily to the beer. You need another one.
Yes, please.
But I will also come back to the... I'm recognizing that universal symbol for "Don't forget me, asshole." Okay. Well, let's get into this movie. After talking JR, I really want to talk about this movie.
Robot Ninja.
Robot Ninja. 1989, written and directed by J.R. Bookwalter. We start things off late one night in Ridgeway, Ohio. As a boy born in Ohio and whose family's still in Ohio, I did not research to see if Ridgeway was a real town or not. I'm going to say it's not.
Could be a lot like Shermer, Illinois.
Could be. As the robot ninja himself, immediately we see him kick down the door of some bad guys and gals and deliver some ninja justice, courtesy of his wrist blades.
Wrist blade, he only has one.
Blade.
Well, there's two of them.
One.
There's two, but on one hand. Wrist.
Correct. Okay.
Predator style.
Semantics.
Predator style. Predator style, yeah.
I was going to say these things are kind of like Wolverine's claws.
No, those are three.
There's a three.
Only they're attached at the wrist as a weapon, not biologic.
It's almost more like Shredder
Yeah, it's
from
Predator. Shredder, yeah.
Shredder from
Teenage Mutant Ninja
Turtles.
Turtles.
Okay. Well, let's just forget what I said about Wolverine.
Oh, you're pulling out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Yeah,
Okay.
okay, let's
write
move
that
on.
down. Never
All right,
speak
well.
about this again.
Shredder. He was their sensei, correct? No, he's the bad guy.
No, he's the bad guy.
Splinter was the sensei, the big rat.
Little rat.
Okay. As Robot Ninja rescues a female hostage and delivers a quick message to the camera, looking at us about upstanding citizens are the real heroes and kids stay off drugs, we cut to the action being played out on a TV screen. What we were watching thinking it was the movie was actually a TV show. Not only was it a TV show, we see a seedy TV executive named Stanley Kane kicking back with a blonde chick, Miss Barbeau, and a big-ass can of Budweiser, laughing his ass off at how campy and glorious this show is.
Glorious.
He bets the character's creator, Lenny Miller, who created the Robot Ninja character, must be fuming at what a success his Robot Ninja character has become in this cheesy show done in the style of the awesome 1960s old Batman TV series.
Why would he be pissed? He's getting paid.
Well, speaking of the old Batman show, Stanley Kane, the comic publisher / TV producer, is played here by no one other than Boy Wonder himself, Burt Ward, from the 1960s Batman. And the blonde hottie partying with them is Scream Queen Hall of Famer Leona Quigley.
I know.
Leona Quigley from Return of the Living Dead and a million other things. Chainsaw Hookers. Man, 2 minutes into
Just
this.
all the titles that just flow off the lips so easily. Chainsaw Hookers.
Chainsaw Hookers.
Man, 2 minutes into this sucker, and we've already got 2 cult legends. Well, 1 cult legend and Burt Ward. But still.
Well, and the other thing that really cracked me up about the name, in which I was like, I don't know if he just came up with it on his own, but I mean, he threw in 2 things that immediately, especially when you're talking comic books, Stanley and Kane. Stanley and Bob Kane.
Bob Kane, the creator of Batman. Well done, Mr. Bookwalter. But Lenny, the comic book creator of Robot Ninja, he isn't stewing his pretentious comic book artist juices at home. Oh no. Suddenly he's barging into the production booth at the TV station to demand answers on what they're turning his beloved Robot Ninja into.
Which
his sleazy agent is there.
Doesn't really make a lot of sense.
He created this guy out of a pure artistic thing, and now he's this cheesy
He's
Adam
supposed to
West
stab-
Batman type
He's
character.
getting paid.
Well, maybe for you guys, money's what it's all about, not Lenny.
Well,
his agent's there too to kind of negotiate and calm things down.
Why is this agent there in the studio?
He's wearing a plaid leisure suit, shirt unbuttoned to the thing, gold chains,
Tut
just so
style.
there's zero doubt the guy's a sleazeball. And he's not helping Lenny's cause at all. Hey, baby, you're right. And he looks at the TV guys, but you're right too. Like he wants to make everybody happy. You bastards don't give a shit about Robot Ninja, Lenny tells them before storming out. I'll show you what Robot Ninja is really about my own way. The TV director tells him, hey, you know what, idiot? You can do whatever you want in your funny books, but your publisher likes the TV show. He likes what we're doing, and it's going to continue full speed ahead, baby. There's nothing you can do about it. Well, on his way out, Lenny picks up a TV screen, throws it on the ground. He's going to do something about it.
Now, unfortunately, we have seen this play out a lot of times where a movie studio will buy the rights to something and then just jack the crap out of it.
Fantastic Four.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Dolph Lundgren Punisher.
Sorry, Dolph, but it's true.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
The original Captain America.
The original Captain America. The movie which featured now the Flash's dad. Wasn't he the...
No. Well, technically, there was a 1970s Captain America with the horrible plastic shield.
Yeah, I
Right.
remember that.
But then there was also a early 90s Captain America movie.
Yeah, I thought that was the guy who plays the Flash's dad in the
I'm not
Flash.
sure.
No,
I
it
remember.
was
I'm not
not.
sure. I remember the '90s Captain
Oh,
America.
it was horrible.
Or no, he was the Flash in the horrible Flash TV series.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I get so confused. There's so many horrible 90s things.
But yeah, it's one of those where they have all the elements there, even like Fantastic Four with the Roger Corman that never got released.
Yeah.
In many ways, you're like, you know what? At least it was faithful to the comic book,
Yeah.
even though it made absolutely no sense whatsoever. But every time they've tried to do it nowadays, they They can't even follow the comic book.
No, they can't. Well, this leads us into the opening credits, and they play out over a series as we see the, actors and production crew's name. It plays out over a series of black and white comic book panels from the Robot Ninja comic.
Kind of reminds me of a Swamp Thing intro.
A little bit. Yak Boy, at this point, despite some questionable acting in the opening few minutes, you had to be excited seeing being a comic book nerd.
Oh yeah,
seeing this opening.
I agree. Yeah.
Anytime I see like sketch drawings or anything like that
You
flashing
had, at
up,
this point, you had to have hope.
Oh, I did.
Okay. And on that note, let's address the low-budget elephant in the room right now and get it over with. Let's just do it. I know this isn't necessarily y'all's cup of cinematic tea, if you will, that you would gravitate to if it weren't for me. Although, you have to admit, if you were 13 years old in a video store and saw the Robot Ninja box, you would have rented the shit out of it.
Yes.
Oh, I
Guarantee you would have rented
I
this
rented
thing.
so many movies that just based on, going into the old movie store, seeing that box, that's your only thing. Reading that little paragraph on the back of it, you're like, this is it. This is my Friday night.
You guys give me so
Yeah.
much shit on the show for the movies I picked, but this is one that you would have been all over as a
Yes.
kid.
Probably, yeah.
At least took an initial rental.
Probably, yeah.
Me personally, I grew up shooting no-budget movies all through middle school and high school, casting my friends and local weirdos in all my little movies. So I'm biased. I have a real appreciation for these films. I think that came across in the interview with Bookwalter.
Yeah.
I really did grow up watching these movies and just eating them up because I was making the same, on a different level, the same kind of things, So my perspective kind of, it does differ from you guys on this, but I just want to get that out there. Fair enough. You guys wouldn't normally jump into this movie on your own, but let's go from there.
Well, no, I'll even go a little bit further. This movie was made for $2,500.
Yeah. Do you have a different thought process going into the rest of this conversation after talking to Bookwalter?
No, I had a different thought process after I actually tried to make a movie, tried to make projects. It's hard to get an appreciation for just what budget does for a film, because I guarantee you, if you gave me a story and you gave me $250 million, I'm going to hire ILM Industrial Lights. I'm going to hire the Hollywood guys. And regardless of whether I'm any good or not, I'm going to make you something that's pretty dang... It looks good. It sounds good. All the stuff's there because I have this entire corporate machine behind me with that money. Mm-hmm. Now, you strip all that money away, and that's when you actually see talent. That's when you actually see...
Ingenuity.
Storytelling. That's when you see concepts.
Creativity.
I would not have had that appreciation had I actually not tried to do anything.
Which we have done a little bit here on the even on the show with short films and whatnot to varying success. I mean, it is really hard to put out a nuts and I think the doctor says tits to nuts story.
Okay.
I might have that phrase mixed up. It is hard to put out a complete, thought-out story in film form in any way whatsoever. Whether it's a short film, whether it's a feature film, if you can pull it off and put it out there.
Yeah.
My opinion is always, I'm going to give you a certain level of credit going in. Just you did it.
Let's put it to you this way: audio engineer hired today is $300 an hour, and your total budget is $2,500. How long is that going to last?
Yeah.
No, you got to learn to do all this stuff yourself.
You do. So I just want I'll be curious to get you guys' take moving forward. As we go through the story, I'm going to be I'm honestly just really interested in getting y'all's spin on where the story goes.
The way I try to count, or the way I try to filter this, is that when I approach a low budget film or a no budget film, all right, at least give me good concepts and great story. If you can give me those two things, yeah, I mean, I understand what budget is. So, we'll see how it goes.
I like it. All right, well, let's do it. We join a young couple as they finish up their meal at a restaurant. The dude says loudly, "I've been waiting a whole year for tonight's dessert. Finally getting some." She's going to finally let him penetrate her that night.
Well, I think we figured that out.
Oh, he lets everyone know. I think everyone in the restaurant was clear what... Can I interest you in our dessert menu, sir? No. It's her.
I'm interested in pie.
I'm having her pie for dessert. And she's all into it, like, yeah. So he pays the bill and they shuffle off to the parking lot. But before he can get his car in gear and his pants off, a van pulls up and a gang of punks kidnaps both of them.
Filthy punks.
As the van careens down a dark country road, the gang leader, Buddy Revell, rapes the woman in the back of the van.
And once again, rape plays a theme in our movie.
All right, it's only been in 6 of our 8 movies this year. But I
really think that you are trying to cry for help.
I do introduce something new in this film. The female gang member attempts to rape the dude. Female rape.
Yeah, that makes it so much better.
I think so. But she holds down the dude and she's like, "I'm going to see what this guy's all about." I don't know. He's been waiting a year. He's probably like, "All right, look, as long as I get laid tonight, I'm good." Well, the van starts to have engine trouble, as all creepy late 80s cargo vans tend to do, or so the doctor tells me. And when they pull over, guess who pulls in behind them to call in the suspicious activity to the cops? Which I don't know what was suspicious about a van breaking down on the road.
Well, didn't he see them throw the people in the van? I think he did.
Okay, maybe he saw that. I don't know. Yep, it's our hero, Lenny Miller, the comic book artist. Remember, he's a highly successful comic artist. That's why he has a cell phone in 1987, 88.
Right, yeah. They were expensive.
Well, the thugs drag their captives out of the van, guns to their heads, and when Lenny, I gotta make a move, heroically makes a move to save them, the punks knock his ass out cold, especially the chick.
Yeah.
Knocks him out. They shoot the girl a dozen bloody times, and then they stab the poor horny bastard to pieces before speeding off.
Just over and over, stabbing.
Lenny's there just knocked out, but they kill the man and the woman gruesomely. Here's the thing about J.R. Bookwalter films, too. The minute they shoot her, she looks like a zombie.
Yes.
Like they shoot her in the back, and all of a sudden her face is decaying.
Man. Well, no, they shoot her in the back, and then I thought that they shot her in the head, and then her entire lower jaw
is gone, and guts are coming out, but her face is instantly blue. He definitely has a style. Well, Lenny's buddy, Dr. Goodnight, picks him up from the hospital the next morning and drops him off at home to start. He immediately wants to start transcribing the previous night's activities into a brand new Robot Ninja comic.
Is this the guy that has the...
Yes.
The trucker cap?
Dr. Goodnight is played by Bogdan Pesic. P-E-C-I-C? Pesic. Who played Dr. Molson in Bookwalter's other early film, The Dead Next Door.
Dead Next Door, yeah.
He even wears the same ball cap, which is just a plain trucker cap written in marker. Once I thought I was wrong, but I was mistaken. That's what it says on his hat. That should be fun.
Crap! We should have asked him about what was up on that hat.
I should get that tattooed on my arm as my motto in life. Lenny slaves away at his art table, recreating the gang members and all the bloodshed they unleashed into his comics well into the night. He's inspired to write a new Robot Ninja based on this. Well, somebody isn't so pleased with the new graphic narrative turn that Lenny's taking with the Robot Ninja comic, and that somebody is Burt Ward.
Oh, Burt Ward.
Upon seeing the new pages that he turns in, the publisher, Burt, calls up Lenny on the phone and tells him, look, I want Robot Ninja to evolve more into a novelization of the cheesy TV series we're producing now. Let's not go heavy with these gangs and violence. This is going to be fun, like the 1960s Batman. They reference the 1960s Batman out the ass. That's what the people want, he tells them.
Quick question.
Yeah.
What is the time period between this movie, Robot Ninja, and Dark Knight Returns?
Well, they're referencing the graphic novel, which was out at this point.
Yes.
That came out mid-'80s.
Okay, so
yeah.
Dark Knight Returns...
86?
85,
All right.
86.
86-ish?
Was when
Okay.
Frank Miller put that out.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
and that was the sort of the
And Burt Ward even says in this, why don't we make this a separate graphic novel? Those are big right now. And he's like, no. This is the comic. This is Robot Ninja.
Okay.
that shift change. And they even talked about that with the earlier
But you kind
Batman
of
stuff.
had to appreciate that kind of
Yes.
aspect to it.
So like, the 60s Batman TV show, and then they came in with, even 70s and 80s Batman was still pretty dark in comparison than what people would
TV
think
show?
about. No.
To the other DC
Oh,
comics.
Michael.
Yeah. But then
Wait, what?
when
Okay, yeah.
when Miller put out The Dark Knight, it just took it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
It elevated from just being a comic book of like, I'm going to stop the bad guy, to being
Vigilante.
what we think about now with Batman as this collection of psychosis.
I mean, I remember in 4th grade trading comics every Friday. We were allowed to bring comics to school. And me trading like 50 other comics to get one guy's Dark Knight. And here I'm looking at a girl, this big Russian chick with Nazi swastikas on her giant titties. And I'm like, I'm in school trading for these comics. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is like, I need this. Like, oh, you want 4 Peter Porker, the Amazing Spider Hams? Take them. Give me the Nazi titties. That's going to come back to haunt me, isn't it?
I don't.
Probably will.
There's a phrase I don't think I'm going to hear again in my lifetime.
When you run for alderman, it's going to be like, give me the Nazi titties.
Again, 4th grade Batman comic. I think I'm okay. Well, Lenny holds to his artistic vision here and says, "You print what I give you, or I quit." Burt Ward's fired up. He tells Lenny, "Look, I had a promising young comic creator in my office just this morning. The extremely awkward, we saw the visit, and highly untalented Marty Coleslaw, played by another indie horror legend, Scott Spiegel, director of the movie Intruder, which is an amazing early splatter slasher movie. Spiegel was another Sam Raimi guy, worked on The Evil Deads, and he plays Marty Coleslaw, this incredibly untalented, nerdy comic book artist."
It's funny because not having the horror background, I'm missing all these references. But this guy, for some reason, I was like, this guy has to be somebody.
He was also in Dead Next Door. He's one of the early cops that gets eaten.
Yeah.
Scott Spiegel. He also went on to direct one of the Dusk Till Dawn sequels. When Rodriguez kind of licensed those to his buddies, he gave one to Scott Spiegel. Intruder is I'm amazed we actually haven't done it on the show. It is another Sam Raimi produced, one of his friends' movies. It takes place a grocery store is closing at the end of the night, like a local Brookshire Brothers or a Safeway, a small grocery store, and somebody starts knocking off all the employees. It's a really fun movie, really gory, just like all of these. It's a little incestuous family, the Sam Raimi family. But he tells Lenny, you better watch out, because come May, when your contract expires, I will put Marty Coleslaw in charge of Robot Ninja.
You won't.
Watch yourself. Of course, we saw Marty Coleslaw in his horrible drawing, so we know that's a bluff. Well, now you guys know what I'll be checking myself into hotels on. Anytime you're looking for me in a hotel in the future, don't tell Matt Cade.
Is there a Marty Coleslaw
here? Oh, yes, Mr. Coleslaw Suite. I'll take a steak sandwich and a steak sandwich and 4 Bloody Marys to the coleslaw account.
I've got to go out of town this weekend. I'm going to check in as Brock and Lens.
Brock and Lens. That's right. Well, Lenny, he hangs up the phone on his publisher Bert, cracks open an early morning beer. The sun just came up, TNCC style, and damn publishers. And we just saw Burt Ward hang up the phone. Damn artists. I love those creative cuts that works both sides of the cut. And he clicks on the news. Upon hearing of a report of another rape in town the night before, and also yet another Cleveland Browns loss. So even 3 decades ago, rapists were still raping, Browns were still losing. Some things never change. Thugs still love to rape chicks, and the Browns just lose. Well, Lenny has had enough, and he yells, "Damn it!" as he looks up at a robot ninja drawing he has pinned to the wall, and he jumps up, gets in his sweet car, and speeds off. Boys, what was that sweet car he drove? Was that a Camaro?
IROC?
It was a Formula. It said Formula on the back. I think it was a Formula Camaro.
Is it? If it's Formula, I think that's Trans Am. Because they're real similar.
They're real. So the Trans Ams and the Camaros,
especially at that time, they were pretty much the same car.
The gray and silver two-tone.
Yeah, that's probably. I think that might have been a Trans Am. It's Formula.
It was a sweet ride. Hey, speaking of things that are sweet,
I think the Camaro was Can-Am.
I'll go with that.
I'm not sure.
Speaking of things that are sweet, let's take a minute now to talk about the Sweet Jane cigars from our friends at Drew Estate. Love is for suckers. Cigars are for lovers. Deadwood, South Dakota, where legions of denim and leather-clad riders descend for their annual celebration of life and freedom, Sweet Jane welcomes them all with her alluring aroma and easy smoking taste. Mm-hmm. This cigar is for the road well-traveled, boys. I personally am a big fan of the Sweet Jane. It's my go-to cigar as far as introducing newcomers and newbies.
Oh, it's good.
Non-smokers, if you will, to the premium cigar world. Trust me, fellas, light up a Sweet Jane for your special lady, and she'll thank you for it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's nice.
So go to www.drewestate.com to learn more about Sweet Janes. It is a unique and special smoke, and sweet and delicious.
Or you can go to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club.com website and click on the Sweet Jane.
There's a big Sweet Jane logo there. Boom. We did all the work for you. So Lenny races over to his buddy Dr. Goodnight's laboratory and pays him that week's royalties from the cheesy TV show. Let's call it what it is, a shitty TV show.
But apparently it was successful. People were watching it.
But he gives him the money and he says, you know what? Which is really, if you look at it when he threw it down, it's like $60. Design and construct me a real robot ninja costume so I can hunt down the bitch who kicked my ass and all those other criminals. Or at least freak them out until the cops show up. They'll be freaked out by the costume and, buy me some time.
Seems legit.
Because spandex turns into armor.
Yeah.
We are then graced, I'm getting to that, with an awesome music montage that shows Lenny hard at work on his comics at his table, interspersed with him doing push-ups and crunches, getting into prime superhero shape.
In 3 days.
While Dr. Goodnight goes to the local surplus store shopping for Robot Ninja costume materials.
Robot Ninja montage.
Nails, duct tape, saw blades. He's getting all the cool stuff. And then we see him constructing the suit while taking occasional Pizza Hut breaks. There's like a minute there where he's just eating Pizza Hut.
What's wrong with that?
I love the moment when he looks up at the wall of the Robot Ninja drawing that Lenny did, a very detailed cartoon drawing.
Uh-huh.
And then he looks at what he did, which looks nothing like that, and he's like, nailed it. That's so good. He's so satisfied. Got it.
And I've assembled this pile of crap.
It doesn't resemble it whatsoever at all. And when Lenny shows up, he's like, Doc, you did it again. This looks nothing like your drawing. Anywho, it doesn't take it away at all from what is a really good music montage, correct?
Yes, it is. It was
montage.
It's a good montage. And just like that, a hero's costume is born. Goodnight has even equipped it with a vocal disguiser in the helmet, so nobody can recognize Lenny's voice when
Back
he says,
in the 1990s.
Game over, thugs. Game over. Sorry, Christian Bale, you ripped off Robot Ninja. Lenny is ecstatic with the results. Thanks so much, Doc. I'm headed out tonight to catch those creeps.
The doctor says, you do what you want. I'm exhausted. I'm going to go to bed. Well, good night. Very funny, Goodnight says. But in a weird and unexpected move, once Goodnight goes to bed, Lenny then raids Goodnight's medicine cabinet before leaving and swallows a handful of his prescription pills.
Just like a drug addict.
TNCG
But it doesn't
style.
even. It would be different if it said like adrenaline or
That's wrong.
strength enhancers.
Nope, just
Pills.
medicine cabinet.
Oh, so it turns out now that Lenny is a pill popper.
Hey man, whatever helps the cause.
What is this, bear? Let's do it.
He doesn't even look at the
It's good for your heart. Thins the blood.
Before we get to Lenny's first night out on the prowl, let's revisit the cigar real quick. Ted, I see a lot of smoke coming on over there. Anything other than leather, body, woodsiness, anything new?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
I'm still
me
just
neither.
getting that leather. I'm still getting a little bit of the cream.
The
but-
cream is very minimal.
It is so faint. I mean,
Yes, but
it's hinting there. It's toying with me.
I'm getting no pepper
No.
on regular draw, retro hell.
I got a little bit of the classic Nicaraguan mineral.
You get a little bit of that, but you don't get like I said, you don't get that classic Lajero profile though.
No, and actually, I would put this at a medium,
Yeah.
full-bodied medium, but not full strength. It's a medium strength, full-bodied cigar. I do like the profile.
I'll have to admit, I'm not as familiar with Honduras tobaccos, so I don't know exactly how much the Honduras influence is kind of playing with it. Maybe that's kind of shifting some of the, classic
Sounds like a Tom
Nicaraguan.
Clancy novel. The Honduran influence.
I'm not sure how much they're influencing the Nicaraguans in this cigar.
I don't know either. I want to say maybe that's where some of the cream is coming. The creaminess,
Possibly.
I know you said
it
the
just-
Ometepe, but it might be some of the Honduran too. I know the Hondurans typically tend to
it could be.
bring in some of those factors. But man, complexity is not.
Now I'm just picturing a Tom Clancy. The Hondurans bring in the cream.
Copyright 2018 Tuesday Night Cigar
I don't
Club.
think Tom Clancy's writing that.
Can we
novel.
copyright Tom Clancy stuff? No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think-
It's a very enjoyable cigar.
No,
I'll give it that. The profile that's there, I enjoy, but complexity is zilch.
Yeah.
Flavor wise, it is nice. I mean, if you like a full-bodied leathery cigar with a little bit of cream and a little bit of on the retro, just a little bit of we say mouthfeel, nose feel.
Sure.
Copyright I think we're the first ones to ever say it has nose feel. It does leave a really good kind of wasabi like lingering heat in your nose.
spice, but not.
It's not pepper.
It's not pepper.
Construction has been fine. Good draw.
Yeah.
Construction has been spot on. I mean, burn line is, just almost. Just practically a flat line for me.
Burn line's been great. Draw's been great. Relight just due to me ignoring it for a little while. All right, well, I'll come to it again. Everybody's you're approaching the midway. You're approaching final third. I'm approaching final third. So I'll come back to it. I am enjoying the beer. Again, not complex at all. It's basically grapefruit and a little bit of hops on the front end.
I'm not going to say it's a little bit of hops, because I I've had beers that rate themselves like 60 IBU that aren't as hoppy as this, and maybe it's the smell that's influencing me.
I think it is the aroma. It has a very hoppy aroma.
I'm telling you, it's those commercials that you see
but
like
it's trickery because that hoppiness isn't on the beer itself.
I don't know. Those commercials that you see like Samuel Adams or even Budweiser, where you see the guy like put his hands in like just nothing but hops and grains, is like sniffs it.
Yeah.
That's what I smell. I mean, that's what I imagine that guy smells.
But you're not tasting that.
Maybe.
Yeah, a little bit in the front end, but I'm an IPA guy, and I'm not. To me, this is the citrus is the
it's
the dominating factor here. I'm getting grapefruit.
Right.
Yeah, but I hate grapefruit.
I don't like grapefruit either, but I don't mind it here.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the beer, and I'm certainly okay with it pairing with the cigar.
Yeah, it's not conflicting at all.
No. All right. Well, as Lenny, aka the recently costumed robot ninja, is patrolling the town of Ridgeway, listening to his police scanner. He's rich. He can have all these toys. At one point, he even says to Goodnight, "It's like Batman." And he's like, "Well, Batman was a billionaire." Lenny's got a few bucks.
Gotta start somewhere.
The 100-aire.
I mean, he's still living in that pretty shitty little apartment, but 100-aire, is that a thing? I'm 100-aire. He hears a report of a van matching the description from the van the night before, parked at a local video store.
Which, coming across the police scanner, you would figure that if a cop is reporting it, the cops would be there.
Cops are there.
No, cop says on the scanner, "Well, I'm at a traffic stop. I'll be there in about 10 minutes." So
I'm at a 10-200.
Robot Ninja gets there a little bit quicker, and sure enough, the three lowlifes, led by Buddy Revell, are robbing the joint. After blasting the poor video clerk in the chest, hey, give it to this. On low budget, Bookwalter knows how to shoot people. I mean, big blood splurted out of his chest. They grab a little kid hostage and head back to the van with them. But when they open the van door, Robot Ninja jumps out of the van. He tells them in his robotic voice,
I'm the robot ninja, and it's game over for you.
Does that sound somewhat like Robot Ninja?
Sure.
Absolutely not, but we'll take it.
I had it. It sounded a lot better before.
I liked it.
All these beers. Well, this doesn't dissuade Revell from grabbing a female hostage from the parking lot and yanking her in the van. "Let's see those big knockers, honey." Unfortunately, it should be noted we don't get to see those big knockers.
Is that where we're going to go with this?
No, I'm just saying. Low budget.
Yeah, third rape scene.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
low budget movies, nudity is the cheapest special effect.
Yeah.
I always tried to get a lot of that in my early films because they were cheap. Well, we don't get to see the big knockers. Seriously, though, a dude in a Robot Ninja costume just jumped out of your van and confronted you, and you decided to go ahead and do a rape.
You know what? I got some time here.
I'm going to get my rape on.
I know.
If I hadn't blown all of my budget on that casting couch.
Hey, you guys handle that Robot Ninja guy. I'm gonna
I got things to do, man.
I'm going to see these big knockers. Man, this crew is focused.
They are task oriented.
Hey, everybody has a job.
You handle Robot Ninja guys. I
Look,
handle knockers.
Dude, Revell's like, I don't want to micromanage here, but I'm on knockers duty. You're on Robot Ninja duty.
Just do your job.
Well, Robot Ninja ends up stabbing the shit out of Revell with his claw hand. Like, literally, like, just blood everywhere. Stabs him to death. And we cut to graphic comic book panels which accurately capture the violence that we're seeing firsthand.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Every time
He drew this up how he wanted to do it.
It's almost like a premonition.
Yes.
I imagine it beforehand.
The night before, he drew up how this would go, and it's going just
I'm
like
sorry.
he wanted.
Every time I see this technique done, the intersplicing between illustration and live action, I love it. I eat it up all the freaking time.
As comic book guys, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's kind of cool because he understood that's what comic guys want. I mean,
Yeah, Bookwalter got it. Well, Robot Ninja saves the girl with the big knockers. That's her name on IMDb. I'm not reducing her to an object here. I don't know if that's her name on IMDb.
Sounds good.
But he saves her and her terrified little brother, the boy they took hostage. But the other two gang members, including the bitch who kicked Lenny's ass the night before, they get away when the police show up. As Lenny drives off, he's so proud of his mission. I did it! I did it just like I wrote it. I did it! But later that night, in bed, his violent actions come back to haunt him. It's not quite the same as drawing all those actions on paper, is it? You actually saw it firsthand, and that's going to mess with your head a little bit.
Well, you literally just stabbed a dude in the neck, like, repeatedly, and...
I would think. I eat a lot of too much pizza at night. I'm up all night, like, heartburn. Why did I eat all that pizza? You just literally filleted a guy.
I think I am Bill Clinton compartmentalized enough to where I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine.
Well, not Lenny. He has some pretty bad dreams. Well, Goodnight shows up at Lenny's place the next morning and shows him the newspaper. Not only did Buddy Revell die, that's okay, but somehow the kid did too. If you
he got pushed.
If you remember, that bitch in the gang threw him down on the ground, and I guess too hard, and it cracked his head or something. And now the police are hunting down the masked vigilante responsible.
Yeah, not the rapist.
Not them. They're going after Robot Ninja. Dr. Goodnight tries to take back the suit and his pills. By the way, I know you swallowed like a dozen of my pills too, you asshole.
Get back my bear.
That was never in the deal.
I didn't take anything. They're literally on your nightstand, right there.
But Lenny, hey, you know what? Tosses him to the ground. Tosses Goodnight to the ground. He's not going to be stopped until justice is served.
I guess.
Maybe. Well, that next night, Lenny once again dons the Robot Ninja costume and hunts down the gang. You know what he reminds me of? I've been watching the Supergirl series.
Yes.
The Greatest American Hero.
What's the Jimmy Olsen? Who's the character he becomes? He creates a suit.
Yeah.
And goes out at night. It's like the Avenger or the, I'm the Enforcer or something. And, it's just a guy with no real superpowers. But at least Jimmy Olsen in the Supergirl series has some martial arts training.
Right.
And he's pretty fit. This guy has nothing. Just those claws.
Well, I mean, he did 10 push-ups. That's got to count for something, right?
That's true. That's true.
And at least one
I've
crunch.
Done 10 push-ups, and yes, that does count for something.
And it's sad that I've watched every episode of that. I can't think of that superhero's name. All right. Well, the next night, Lenny puts on the Robot Ninja costume to hunt down the gang. By saying that, he really just parks his car and gets out, and they show up. There's no hunting. There's no Batman detective work.
How the cops can't find these guys, and he just drives out and just keeps finding them.
I'm going to pull in this parking lot. They'll come to me. And they do. Only this time, the bad bitch has brought an entire team of new thugs. They're up for a fight because they all get out of the van doing this with their fists. Yeah. Wringing their hands together.
I'm just saying, like, every time I have thrown down, that is my first go-to. That lets you know that Tuttle's ready.
Ready. Just do this number.
This moisturizer's not going to apply itself.
Exactly.
And they proceed to
Tuttle,
jump.
Are you ready for a fight? No, I just hand sanitizer.
Well, they proceed to jump our hero. What happened to that gun that they were shooting everybody willy-nilly with the night before?
Doesn't really matter at this point because...
That was yesterday they were shooting everybody. As they got him pinned down to the ground, one of the thugs, "This is for Revell, you dead ninja bastard," they say as they rain down blows on Robot Ninja. He gets a few good licks in, and by licks I mean he guts one dude like his intestines fall out. He chops off another guy's hand, blood splurting out of his wrist. But they finally pin him down, and then the bad bitch, I still don't know her character's name at this point, so I'm going to keep... That's what he calls her. I'm gonna keep calling her that. Proceeds to stab the shit out of his arm.
They fuck him up.
Like his forearm just
like guts it. I mean, just
open. Just terrible.
It's one of those where I'm like, this is classic. I mean, they literally just like slicing. Like,
and he's screaming out, but he has that voice. What kind of robot screams out in pain, asshole? She says. I guess he ain't like the robot ninja on the TV show, one of the thugs says. They watch the show too. It's a big hit. Huh, boss? She's the boss now. Yeah. The big bitch, the badass bitch is the head of the crew. That had to add insult to injury, though, to Robot Ninja, because he hates that TV show. You're not like the cool one on TV. He's like, it's a distortion of my artistic intent. I had other motives.
You figured that would like fire him up, where he just stabs more people repeatedly. He's like angry.
Well, it does, because horribly injured, he somehow slips away by kicking one of his captors in the nuts. Oh, my nuts! The guy says. And just as the bad bitch is filling Robot Ninja with bullet holes, yeah, totally TNC. I'm in a bad pickle here. I'm going to start kicking dudes in the nuts.
Just should have just note to self: lead with that next time.
What's the Robot Ninja's go-to move? Kick to the nuts. And just as the bitch starts filling him full of bullet holes, she finally remembers, oh yeah, I have a giant gun I'm not afraid to use. So she starts shooting him in the back. The police show up, and a firefight ensues, allowing Robot Ninja to escape. Gets in that sweet ride of his and rides off.
Yeah, nobody's chasing him. I mean, why not?
The cops never go after that sweet ride.
And guy with that kind of ride wouldn't be up to no good.
No, but the thugs and the big bad bitch get away as well. Speaking of big bad bitches, Deadwood's Yummy Bitches from our friends at Drew Estate are wrapped in a Maduro wrapper and are blended with aromatic and exotic tobaccos that bring out the natural sweetness of the cigars. Deadwood's Yummy Bitches include the Sweet Jane, as we mentioned earlier, Fat Bottom Betty, which you said your wife is a big fan of,
yes,
and the Crazy Alice. Sweet Jane is presented in a 5x46 Vitola and packaged in a 24-count box. Fat Bottom Betty, which is a little bit larger, is presented in a 5x54 Vitola, packaged in a 10-count box. And the Crazy Alice comes in a 4.5x46, kind of odd-shaped Vitola, packaged also in a 10-count box. They're very unique cigars, we said. Find them at your local tobacconist today. Forever, they were only available at Deadwood Tobacco. Now they're at our friends at Famous Smoke Shop.
Yeah.
You can get them a lot of different places. You'll be glad you sought these badass bitches out. Do it.
All right.
Well, speaking of cigars, talking about the Yummy Bitches, you're about
that much into
it. I'm about ready to cash this. You were actually a little bit slower.
It kind of went out on me.
Holy crap, you're ahead of me?
Yeah. How's that happen? Let's talk about our final thoughts here.
It's a good cigar.
It is good.
It's not very complex. It's enough out of my wheelhouse that it's kind of throwing me off a little bit.
If the intent was to bring the Macanudo name into a new area, mission accomplished.
But see, I'm not that big. I'm not that familiar with the Macanudo line, so
I just know it for what it's known for: mild Connecticut.
Yeah.
Good price smokes. I will say this: in the final third, approaching the nub, it has gotten a little bit hot to smoke, but I am getting a lot more of the Nicaraguan presence, the mineral and the earthiness that wasn't there earlier.
I can agree with that.
Where earlier on, as we said, it was leather, that little hint of cream, but mainly just leather, full-bodied. I'm getting a lot more earthiness and mineralness in the final third, which is nice. I always like to get something towards the end, like, oh wow, that's a little new.
Yeah.
We've been smoking it for quite a while. I'm going to come back to you way later and get your final impressions. Tut, I saw you agreeing with me on the Nicaraguan aspect.
Yeah,
coming into play.
Yeah, it does have a little bit more of that mineral and earth presence that you would notice with a Nicaraguan cigar.
Just talk price point. It's been a fairly slow smoking Robusto. Enjoyable.
I'll go 950.
$9.50.
I don't know. They're touting it a little bit, saying it's out of their norm. I had to go like 11.
$6.49.
It's not too shabby, man.
All right,
$6.
not too shabby.
That throws a whole little.
$6.49.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Everybody's going to their score sheets here. I would agree. From a price point advantage, it is a very.
All right. First of all, the length of time that you get off of a Robusto, it's impressive. That is.
It's a slow burn and smoke.
It's a slow burning smoke. I mean, we've done most of our show. We've done an interview with it. It's nice that it hung around there. I wish it had a little bit more outside of the leather.
Yeah.
I wish that cream would have picked up a little bit more. Maybe just a little hint of pepper.
I kind of like the consistency in theory of, you know what, the original Macanudos gave you one profile. There's not a complex smoke.
No.
True, very true.
So we're going to give you a full-bodied, stronger cigar. That same theory. We're not going to give you a lot of twists and turns and forks in the road. We're going to give you a full-bodied Macanudo that's going to give you a different experience, and we're still going to maintain our Macanudo mantra of affordability.
And I think that I do think that they accomplished that. I really do, because it does have some heft to it. It does have some body to it.
It does.
There's some strength here.
Yeah.
Like I said previously, if you handed me this without a label, smoke it, tell me what you think, and then say, who did you make it? Who made it? I would not say. I mean, it wouldn't be in my top 5 Macanudo.
And you're started out with Macanudos.
Correct.
I think this might be like only my 3rd Macanudo I've ever smoked. Maybe 2nd. I don't smoke a lot of Macanudos, so I have nothing to compare it off of.
Yeah, I only smoked them when I was hammered and out of cigars, and I'd borrow one from him. Yeah, that price point is nice.
$6.50 is nice.
Yeah, it is.
Especially like with the rise in tobacco prices that we've seen recently. It's really good.
So I like that. I'm going to come back to you. I think we've said everything we need to say. I'm going to come back to Yak Boy as I watch yours kind of go down. Right. See if you get some of that Nicaraguan hardiness that we got in the final third. All right. Well, when Robot Ninja, with his wounded arm and beat to shit, retreats that night, the bad bitch follows the wounded Robot Ninja to Dr. Goodnight's lab, but she's so tired, TNCC style. We can finish this now, but I'm sleepy.
After a long night of
rape and murder.
I love that fact.
I just want to get some Z's.
I love that fact.
She's like, you know what? We know where he's at. We'll come back in the morning to finish him off.
We know that he's there.
He's there. We'll come back. It reminded me of that. Remember that Western we did? Kill or Be Killed?
Yes.
Where they had the bad guys in the hotel, and the sheriffs were like, all right, they're here, but let's get laid with some prostitutes, and we'll get them in the morning.
TNCC style.
They're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere this late at night. Well, Goodnight's out of town. He had a weird inventor conference or something.
Well, I think he had to go several towns over to refill all of his prescriptions.
Thanks,
Son
Robot
Good
Ninja.
night. You just had this morphine prescribed. Well, something happened. Robot Ninja happened. So Lenny lets himself into Goodnight's laboratory, and Lenny, the comic book artist with no medical or biomechanics background, we assume, begins to insert tubing and metal parts into his horribly ravaged arm to make it functional again.
Which makes no sense. He's not the Terminator.
I'll make myself a robot.
I was waiting for like the little red screen and him to start to like.
And because this is Bookwalter, as he's puking up blood in his guts, he looks like a zombie at this point. He looks like a full-blown... his face is all swollen up and decaying.
They fucked him up. Excuse me.
I love how he digs out the bullet in his leg, and then he just puts a metal plate on it. and it just inserts it in there like...
I'm a robot.
Dude, how are you not feeling this pain at all?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because he goes over to the medicine cabinet and shuffles about a dozen more pills into his face.
All those opioids.
Seems legit.
Those pills really help me. That was candy.
He doesn't look at the bottles. He just swallows them.
Bear, you are not going to have a heart attack anytime
But you know, it's funny you mentioned that, Yax.
All of my Tic Tacs.
It's a gruesome scene, and it's funny you mentioned Terminator, because I think the scene was certainly, as he's doing this homemade surgery on his arm, certainly inspired by the surgery scene in the original Terminator, which I think is confirmed if you noticed one of the cops on the radios, Bookwalter, name's Cameron.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that's his way of
James
giving him a shout out.
Cameron.
Hey, if he can use Cameron, I can use Marty Coleslaw. You heard him. He said I could use it.
I was about to say, you heard the interview.
Well, but he looks terrible.
Oh, my God.
He's on death's door at this point. Well, Lenny makes his way back to his place, and he stares at his comic panels, which clearly show him kicking the villains' collective asses. He had drawn what he wanted to happen that night.
Didn't
I
quite
lost.
go that way.
I lost. But the way I drew it, I should have won. So as an artist, because that's who he truly is, he grabs his pencil and starts drawing a new comic with his good arm.
Which apparently now we learn that he's ambidextrous.
I guess.
He can just draw a perfect panel with
his left
both
arm.
his right or left hands.
Well, sure enough, the badass bitch and her cronies, unlike the TNCC we'd sleep in and forget about it, she actually shows up at good nights the next morning to finish the job.
Yeah, we're not showing up
She
anywhere in the
is
morning.
literally like, at this point, the 1960s Penguin. Her henchmen come in.
Dude, it truly is. She has her little henchmen. They trash the place and Goodnight. Oh, he made the mistake of coming back from that inventor conference. When they realize they see the drawings of the robot ninja suit up on the, even though they don't look anything like the suit that attacked them, they assume that he's the robot ninja. So Godi Sanchez, we learn her name finally. The bitch's name is Godi Sanchez.
Godi.
Shoves her pistol into his eye socket, and not like presses it against his eye.
No,
shoves it in through his eye into his head and splatters his brains out the back of his head. And what does she say? Good night, good night. He used it twice.
No one's telling this sweet prince good night.
Which I'm starting to think he just named that doctor Goodnight to use those lines. Well, zombie robot ninja, a.k.a. Lenny, stumbles his way back to the sweet ride, and as he's driving back to Goodnight's lab, gotta get more pills. He experiences crazy hallucinations. Probably
because he's lost a shit ton of blood.
Either that, or it's the 100+ pills he's consumed over the last 6 hours. Where all the gang members that he's killed have returned as zombies. The guy with the severed hand is a zombie, blood splurting. There's Smoke Machine. Smoke Machine is pouring in smoke. They're all zombies and they're attacking him. Blood splurting out of their orifices, intestines pouring out their mouths and their bellies. It's all beautiful. The Smoke Machine, obviously, low budget, helps everything. It's fantastic, low budget magic. I love it. But somehow, despite his blood loss and heroic pill consumption, us style, he drives his way to the lab where he finds the doctor's corpse. They hung him upside down after they killed him. And Godi Sanchez, the bad bitch, wrote a note saying, "Robot Ninja, meet us at the graveyard."
Okay.
I thought she thought Goodnight was the robot ninja. Just in case. All right, we're done here.
Just in case somebody else is out there.
This is why I'm the boss. Leave a note saying if you're still out there, meet us at the graveyard.
You just, waiting for, filling out the note and, one of the henchmen, but boss, we just killed him.
Nah, cross our T's and dot our I's, boys.
You just leave the thinking to me.
That's why I wear the bandana.
That's why I'm wearing the red bandana. Again, we intercut with stills from his recently drawn comic panels when we see Robot Ninja arrive at the graveyard, and despite his just awful condition, he kicks some thug ass.
I must win.
He slices up the scuzzy van driver big time. Aren't all van drivers scuzzy?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But Bookwalter goes one step further. The character's name is Scuzzy.
My name's Scuzzy.
Just in case you missed.
Just in case you missed how scuzzy this guy is, his name's Scuzzy. But Goldie Sanchez tries to get away just as the police begin to arrive. She manages to run over one copper. She sandwiches him into a pile of trash with the van before crashing it. And when she exits the vehicle, Robot Ninja pounces her. "No more fucking around, Robot Ninja," she yells.
I agree.
He says. Robot Ninja slits her face open with his hand claw. They then have a quick hand-to-hand combat scene where they slice and dice, beat the shit out of each other before a police officer a cop shows up on time for once in this
There's
thing.
a cop in this movie.
And he blows her to pieces. There actually was a much more running thread of this one cop who was kind of always a minute late to everything, but I just left it out. It doesn't matter. Lenny, the Robot Ninja, retreats then with Goldie and Scuzzy dead. He's accomplished his mission. All the original thugs are now dead. He retreats to his art studio where he mutters,
Just like I planned.
as he pulls out a pistol and blows his fucking brains out, sending blood splatter all over his latest comic drawings. If you watch, when he puts the gun to his head, there's a close-up on his swollen zombie eye, and as he pulls the trigger, the blood squirts all over a drawing of a close-up on the Robot Ninja's eyes. Nice touch there, I thought. Tying reality to the comic book.
Art imitates life.
Art imitates life.
Life imitates art. Who knows?
Not too on the nose, but I thought it was a nice touch because he doesn't make a big deal out of it. It's just a quick shot to the.
Oh, there it
I
is.
actually had to rewind it to see where the blood hit on the comics. Like, I wonder if it ties in. It did. It close up on his eye, blood splatters on that eye. I'm gonna light up my second smoke here. Cody, final thoughts because we're almost done here.
Yeah.
On are you getting any of the Nicaraguan earth and mineral in that final third?
Just a hint of it.
Just a hint. Okay.
I mean, overall, like you said, the not complex. I've had hints of various flavors, but nothing that just steps out and says, "Boom!"
Bam!
But none of that. So I'm
But for $6.50, you're okay with that.
yeah. That
You said what, 11?
11.
You guys have never been more off in the history of 72 episodes. You guys have never been more off on guessing
Well,
that.
for future reference,
It
it's
is
a
true.
Macanudo, $4.50, $3, $2. The price. It's going down as we speak.
Okay, I think we were kind of unanimous. You just lit up your second. Early impressions the same as it.
Yeah, lock solid.
Okay, in the final, if you by some chance get something crazy, let me know. The next day at the comic book publishing office, Burt Ward has already hired Marty Coleslaw to start drawing away in Lenny's absence. Hey, got to keep the machine running. But business ain't suffering from Lenny's loss. Burt's secretary, Miss Barbeau, the blonde
Miss Barbeau.
Linnea Quigley, she tells him that they've already pre-booked more copies of the final Robot Ninja comic than the Batman Dark Knight series. That's big time. We then cut to a glorious 1980s comic book store.
Oh, I
where,
totally missed that reference.
yeah,
The Dark Knight reference. All right,
they're outselling the Dark Knight. That's big.
it's big.
Well, we then cut to a glorious 1980s comic book store where everybody is eating up the latest and last Robot Ninja comic. Man, I wish I could be him, one pimply-faced teen says, reading the final Robot Ninja comic. Not me, says one chubby other teenager. Look how it ends. and we see that the last issue of Robot Ninja ends with him blowing his fucking brains out in the last panel of the comic.
Yeah.
He foresaw his own death, and he drew it.
I don't really
Which, in
understand
hindsight,
that.
doesn't make a lot of sense. Because, you know what? He kind of just witnessed a crime. It didn't involve, like, they killed his wife.
Yeah.
I never really got... I know maybe we're reading a little too much into Robot Ninja. But Batman, his parents.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Uncle Ben.
Right.
Robot Ninja just kind of saw something and got pissed. He made it his life's mission. I'm going to die as a martyr to take out these 3 punks. They didn't really do anything to him.
He could have just...
They beat him up a little bit.
He could have just as easily sat in his car and been like, you know what? I can track these guys down, and I'm just going to call the cops. Because I have a cell phone.
There was no
I got this box phone right
There was no
here.
personal attachment to this vendetta. I mean, I'm guessing the pills, maybe. Pills
The plethora of
pills
stills.
can make you do crazy shit.
He just did become an insane pill popper. I mean, no questions asked. Is it in that medicinal orange bottle? Yes, give it to me.
Exactly. It looks like a medicinal thing.
Oh, it's got a prescription label on it.
Those
Take 10 of these.
this will give me superhuman strength. Those are just antibiotics. Standard off the simple prescription antibiotics.
Well,
This will enhance my senses. It's
at one point
it's
he
Bayer.
at one
It's
point he does
painkiller.
at one point he does tell Goodnight. I just had to take it to help me sleep.
It's prescription
Or
strength.
no, keep him awake.
Yeah.
It was the opposite. I'm out there vigilanting. I
Which,
need to stay awake.
If you think about it, and like I've always, I have to say, after watching Robot Ninja, I'm kind of questioning Bruce, going, that guy's got to be an addict. That dude has to be popping opioids.
His first
that dude's got to be
Robot
popping
Ninja's
pills.
first instinct the minute Goodnight went to bed was raid his medicine cabinet for prescription drugs.
That's got to be Bruce Banner, Bruce Wayne. He's got to be popping pills. Batman's got to be a huge freaking opioid addict.
No, he's driven by his pure rage.
Yes.
Yeah, but when you
his
get the crap
unadulterated-
beat out of you,
You're
you
hurt.
know you're fighting Bane. You're going to
His-
be popping some pills that night.
His rage fuels him and heals him.
No, he's popping pills.
I'm just saying.
Come on.
So what you're saying is Robot Ninja dared to go where the Dark Knight movies don't.
Yes.
Well done, Robot Ninja.
I'll go ahead and say that.
Look, it's a fun film. I have a special affinity for these films. I got the feeling you guys got a kick out of it.
I'll say this:
No.
it's tough to watch because of the budget. You can't afford actors.
The only
any-
thing that hinders these movies, and I talked about this. I said it straight to Mr. Bookwalter during the interview. When your entire thing, no matter how good the story is, no matter how good because his effects are great, his practical effects are great.
Yeah.
When your thing is inexperienced actors, it's going to be hard for some people to get past that.
Well, the two things that stuck out to me was actors and audio. There was some
Audio is
that was challenging. Those are the two things, but those are budget things as well. I'll never forget the first time I was thrown on a freaking shotgun mic. It turned out not exactly as I heard it in my head.
sure.
So I
It ain't
can,
easy.
I can appreciate that.
I could go out and shoot 10 projects tomorrow for very little money if I had actors.
Yeah.
They are the hardest commodity of the independent. I'm not going to say independent. JR's Bookwalter reminds me a lot of. I mean, he is on a different level than me, success-wise, but I never called what I did independent filmmaking. That's got a... John Waters had a great quote. Like, independent film has a pretentiousness to it. Underground. Yeah. We're underground filmmakers.
Yeah.
I'm way underground. I make movies for Morlocks. I make guys for chuds who live literally under the ground. But actors is the hardest thing to do, and so you always say, "Well, I know a guy.
Yeah.
I know a guy who could do this. This is just like him." It never turns out good.
Yeah.
Unless you really, I think the one thing I've accomplished is I've managed to make some normal people come across pretty well on screen, but it's hard. And when you're doing but that was mixed in with actually trained actors. When you're doing a whole movie with friends and buddies and, hey, that guy at the convenience store, he looks like he could be a gang member. Get him in here.
Yeah.
What he does on such a little small budget is admirable in my point, because it's a finished film.
$2,500 for an entire...
It tells a story.
And it was actually a very creative story. I love the concept behind it. I like the interspersion between the comic book drawings, the illustration, and the live action. I like the only thing with the story, I didn't quite get the whole suicide at the end. Outside of that, I like the tie-in.
It's just tied to the pills.
Pills. I like the whole tie-in. I love the concept behind it. I really did.
And I thought it did a lot of really ambitious things with no money. I mean,
and that's what's amazing about it.
The gore effect, and he even said the gore in this is so much more graphic than a lot of what's in the zombie movie, The Dead Next Door.
Yeah.
I mean, when she kills that guy, she didn't just boom. She shoves the gun through his eye socket. You see it go into his brain.
There's a scene where Robot Ninja puts his like gauntlet glove through a dude's eye socket.
Yeah.
That's just like slow-mo, blood splurting, great practical gore.
Speaking of the Robot Ninja's gauntlet is hand claws.
The Predator claw.
I skipped over that scene when Dr. Goodnight is constructing the suit. He hangs a piece of red meat.
Oh yeah.
In his laboratory, and he slices it,
Takes
and a little piece of raw meat gets stuck on the claw, and he's like, well, he is eating Pizza Hut right and left. I guess what's the difference?
Well, it was the 80s, man. I ate raw meat in the 80s.
At least if we could. I love how it's like, will this work? So let me hang this little cutlet up there.
Dude, it was like a small flank. It was like a flank steak. It was what can I go to the butcher and get for $1?
It wasn't like the cow hanging there.
How do I make the most out of Lenny's $60 budget for this suit? I want to test this out. Oh, flank steaks, $1.89. All right.
Make me a suit to fight crime. That's not really what I do, but all right.
I dug it. It was fun. After listening to the interview, I hope you guys out there will go check out the Robot Ninja Instagram and Facebook and pre-order a copy. It's a fun movie, and like he said, on the Dead Next Door alone Blu-ray, you got 4 different ways to watch it. You could watch it with the Bruce Campbell led audio. You could watch it with, he went back. And this is painstaking work. He went back and actually retrieved those original audio tracks that Bruce Campbell and him had scrapped and recreated. I mean, this is a labor of love. And if you love low-budget art trying to achieve something, I have no doubt that this Blu-ray is going to equal that.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe he'll include our show as an audio commentary.
Man, it's so interesting because, like, here recently we've had the Ready Player One Spielberg release, and no bones about it, I love the book Ready Player One. I'm a Spielberg fan, but at the end of the day, when I walked out of Ready Player One, I'm like, yeah, this is like a contemporary Goonies with a nice, cool VR set to it. even as cool as the movie is, and I definitely want you to go watch it, there's still, you're missing something out of it. You're missing like the meat of the book. You're missing the meat of the story, even though it gets a lot of the things right, and I don't want to be too critical about it, but it's all high budget, high effects, wow. But like I said, if you give me that budget, I'm not going to say I'm going to go Spielberg on you, but I'll give you something that's kind of watchable. But if you give me $2,500, I can't make this.
I think, real quick, just to touch on that, I think at this stage of his career, Spielberg is a machine. He's a corporation. He has a lot of say in the scripts that he gets, but there's no emotional attachment that Steven Spielberg has to a lot of the movies that he does. He knows how to shoot a really good movie. He knows how to bring it in on budget. And I'm biased. You guys have heard me rail. I'm not a Spielberg fan after a certain point in his filmography. But, I mean, you can't tell me the guy's putting heart and soul, Bookwalter style, into Ready Player One. It's a job.
Well, it's
his next movie.
Here's something that I'm kind of curious about.
Jared Bookwalter spent 4 years making The Dead Next Door. He's going to spend who knows how many hours in his basement putting together a badass Blu-ray of Robot Ninja.
Well,
right. There's a passion and a attachment creatively there to that material that Spielberg doesn't have to what he's doing now.
Here's what I'm kind of not really confused about, but just kind of questioning, is that you don't see famous directors going out into a different limb or onto a thin limb, shall I say, outside of their wheelhouse, like actors do. Like when I look at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he does a project like Maggie, or he does a project like Aftermath, these are movies that are nowhere near what people our age think of as a Schwarzenegger film. But as an actor, he has the ability to go, yeah, I'll take on that indie role, I'll take on that indie project, and I'll kind of try to flex something that's not really in my wheelhouse. You don't really see a lot of directors going out on that limb.
Successful directors at a certain stage in their career take very little chances.
Okay. I'm just kind of curious as to why that is.
Comfort. When you're satiated, when you're comfortable, there's very little incentive to rock the boat or to...
Yeah.
I think most of the good art, when it comes from a band, is when they were in a bad spot or when they were hungry, or take any of your good bands. Their best stuff is when they were living together in an apartment and it was all about the music and it was all about that. When they're in a mansion 20 years later, 5 of those successful records under their belt, there's not that same, for better or for worse, there's not that same. And from a filmmaker perspective, I think it's crucial that if you're writing and directing your own films, which Spielberg has never done, but Tarantino has said often, all those great conversations you hear in Tarantino films, all those great dialogue moments, he got from just going to coffee shops and sitting and listening because he was nobody and he could. But now he's sitting alone in a mansion and he's not exposed. He can't expose himself to people and get those kind of same just swirling interactions and then take that into a script.
Well, they're
going to be different. And you see that with Tarantino. You see where the later stuff, it's all period pieces, it's all Inglourious Bastards, it's westerns, which are great, but they're very different because he can't just immerse himself
Right.
in the public and just observe and just collect things anymore. And Spielberg never had that. He's a director. He's not a writer.
Well, all right. First of all, before I go into this, I think that there's a lot of truth in what you're saying there. I am going to put you on the spot a little bit because I know you rank Jaws very high in your pantheon.
Oh, it's
in your top 5 movies of all time,
probably.
and that's a Spielberg film. And I'm just kind of curious as to, I understand that you can't expose yourself, once you get past a certain level, but if that talent is there to begin with, which I do believe Spielberg has that,
Well,
you can absolutely get to there again.
nobody's gonna. But nobody's. I mean, dude, look at the guy's filmography. Nobody's gonna say, well, after Jaws, he really dropped the.
No, there was one comment that you made on Facebook that I almost thought that you were doing it. I know you were being a little bit facetious at the time, but I'm just like, you're like, yeah, Spielberg, whatever, and I'm just like,
I just don't like the guy. I just don't like anything he's done after like Temple of Doom. It just doesn't. His style of directing doesn't resonate to me, but I think that's more because I'm inclined to writer directors.
yeah,
Who we mentioned Kubrick earlier with Ermey. Paul Thomas Anderson, seeing him grow from Boogie Nights to There Will Be Blood to there's something about the writer-director connection with the material that I always just gravitate towards.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's one thing that kind of hit me is that, like I said, there's a difference between actors who they can reach the apex of their careers yet still go on these larks and go way outside of their acting career or their acting wheelhouse.
Because they get,
but directors can't really do that.
No, they can't. Especially work for hire directors. Jump on a project. I mean, you're just gonna. I mean, you're basically saying, "This is how I want to shoot this."
Well, I've got
I
a
think that
script,
sucks,
and I'm
though.
looking for a particular style of direction,
But
and so they hire the director. Well, let's go. Here's a really easy example. Michael Bay. We want to blow shit up. Here's a guy. He'll throw in an explosion for no fucking reason. He'll pan the camera around, flip it over, and and boom, there you go.
You want a spectacle? Hire this guy.
But it's just so
Correct.
weird because I mean,
But
why can't
does he have a connection to the material?
Of course not. Nobody has a connection to Transformers.
But that's my point.
Yeah, but why? I mean, why can't Bay?
He didn't have a fucking connection to Pearl Harbor either.
But why can't Bay
Feel
do?
Bumblebee's pain.
But why can't Bay do an hour and 30-minute character study
He did.
indie film?
He did Pain and Gain, the bodybuilder movie.
I actually like Pain and Gain. That was a great movie.
Yeah, they said that was his art film, which was like a $60 million heist
That's
film.
not-
No.
That was Bay being.
No.
I actually like
No, it was okay.
Pain and Gain.
It was okay.
That was fun.
I can't comment on Bay because I honestly have only seen Armageddon and Pain and Gain. I don't know what else I've seen of his. The
But,
Rock.
I mean,
The Rock.
Well, I mean, but like I said, it's that spectacle. There's, people hire a director for a certain feel. We want to
Yeah.
get this. That's the guy.
I just, like I said, I always thought it was weird that, as an actor, you can take an art house film and nobody criticizes you for it. They think, oh, you're out there, you're expanding your repertoire. But the moment a director does it, it's like, oh, he's lost it.
What I take to what you're saying to kind of bring it home is if you actually had an actor, a real actor, playing Robot Ninja, picture, just go with me on this. Picture somehow Bookwalter found
You put a
a
budget.
young Ed Norton or a young
Yes.
and he actually could film this guy becoming Robot Ninja.
Right.
It would be so different.
You put
Very much.
you put a budget behind
It'd be
this,
like, you know
and
what?
it's a
Leave the
different
camera on
movie.
me. I'm going to show you why I can transform. Why I decide to put the suit on? Because it's such an impulsive. You know what? I got mugged. A bitch kicked me in the nuts. Give me the suit. I'm gonna deliver justice. Boom, boom, boom. But with that actor that he had, you had to do it that way.
Yeah.
He's not gonna give you any nuance. He's not gonna give you jack shit. And Bookwalter knows that. I'm making movies for $2,500. Boom. All right. You can do 10 push-ups. You're a robot ninja.
That's impressive.
Well, perhaps we've read too much into Robot Ninja. Perhaps not enough. I don't know. I don't think after 72 episodes, you can say we read too much into anything. We give movies our own unique spin. I think every movie that is shot, edited, distributed, and completed deserves our 100% take. And I think that's what makes us kind of unique, and that we give every movie its due justice, where maybe some other avenues don't do that. Man, it's ambitious, and it's fun, and it's creative, and I encourage everyone to go to the Robot Ninja Indiegogo campaign. Just support an artist. $20, get a DVD, get a Blu-ray. You're gonna get a shitload. You texted me earlier. How do I get a Robot Ninja T-shirt? Go to the
I kind of want one.
Exactly.
Go to the campaign and get one. Contribute a certain amount, you get a T-shirt.
I'm surprised movie hipsters aren't all over this shit.
There's such a current, which I've kind of like. My ears have perked up. Like, I have a lot of shot on video horrible things from the 90s. But dude, Draft House's Mondo has its own VHS line. They release shot to video unseen classics. I'm still considering it. But no, this is one that I'm kind of glad that if we can help just a little bit to get the word out there, then I feel good about that. Although I received word this week that a certain highly respected Blu-ray label is doing a new 4K scan remaster with tons of additional footage of Hot Dog the movie.
What?
Including tons more nudity.
What?
Go on.
So that might actually be the first time we revisit a movie twice on the podcast. If that is everything I'm hearing, we might do another Hot Dog the Movie podcast. We have to for science. But no, go to Robot Ninja Instagram, Facebook, definitely the Indiegogo. Buy the DVD. Support real, true underground artists like J.R. Bookwalter. I thank him very much for coming on the show. That was cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
It was a good interview.
Great.
The beer, nice. First
Solid.
of all, Kung Fu Robot. It's perfect. Thank you for making a beer that this was the easiest goddamn pairing we've ever done on the show.
Where are we ever going to find a beer that's going to match all of these film? Hey, there's one.
It was so easy, and for once they had it. I actually like it, and I'm not just saying that because I've had 8 of them. I really did like it.
And like I said, in terms of an IPA, they list it as American, but it is, as an IPA, there's almost no bitterness. In for my palate.
As a non-IPA guy, it tastes pretty IPA to me.
Yeah, well, you're a weirdo because I'm with him. This is not. I would never in a million years see this as an American IPA, but I did like it.
Yes, it was still good. I liked.
It's
I like
a
the
New
citrus.
England style IPA.
No, that's clam chowder.
Oh, okay.
It was good, and it went really good with our surprise Macanudo cigar.
Not a roller coaster, but solid.
Not a roller coaster, but solid. I like that a lot.
Sounds great.
Right? It's a good quote. I might use that in the... I might. I didn't say I would. It's a good show, boys.
You can join us on Twitter at TNCCcast.
Give us those juicy links.
You can join us on Instagram and see all of the beautiful photographs. TNCC_podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Like I said, we're going to be doing a
Well, if you don't
flood
watch
of
it on
YouTube
YouTube, you're
videos.
not going to get the beginning of the show when I chug that beer because you guys just sat there in silence. When I do something bold like that, I need you guys to, for the listeners, to be like, he's chugging a beer.
Now all of a sudden I feel like a golf announcer. Well, he is chugging,
He's chugging
a
the
beer.
beer. To our listeners, it's like, what's that 10 minutes of silence?
Okay, so from now on, I'm going to go Univision. He's chugging a beer.
That's what I was... Well, I don't want that, but
Okay.
I want some... You guys got to help. But if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see me chug the beer, and then it'll all be fun.
And you can see that Tuesday Night Cigar Club on YouTube. Join the Facebook page. Who knows what the algorithm's going to do and whether you can actually see us on the YouTube page or on the Facebook page.
But I think we are also going to explore some live streaming options from these events, which would bring Facebook a little more into it,
That'd be pretty sweet.
possibly. So hit us up on YouTube for sure.
I think that's about it.
Is that it?
From
Are you-
you can click on our Amazon link, I guess, and buy your stuff. If you're going to buy a cigar, go ahead and do the famous smoke deal.
Mhm.
And if you're going to buy Sweet Jane, definitely hit the Sweet Jane link.
I think that's it. Final words, Robot Ninja, go to the campaign, Indiegogo, it's easy to find.
I want my T-shirt.
Well, you have to pay for that.
I'm gonna get that T-shirt.
I'm going to get that T-shirt.
I'm gonna get it.
Pay for it. Buy a DVD, you'll get
But
a
I'm
t-shirt.
going to get the T-shirt. And then I'll cut the sleeves off. East Texas
I'm gonna
style.
get that sweet hand claw.
Ooh,
Stab some
is
dude.
that part of it?
Is that a perk?
I hope
The hand
so.
claw?
I
That would
have
be
to go
awesome.
through what they're on there because if I can get that sweet hand claw, that's what I'm gonna get.
JR, put the hand claw up there, man.
I think it's a great idea. He's like, I don't have it, but he just starts
He
molding.
starts making it.
Just mold some shit. This was the actual. It's just tinfoil.
It's called movie magic.
We call that Canton, Ohio style. I'm sorry, I'm Alliance and biased. Great show, boys. I'm gonna take one more sip of this beer, and then I'm gonna send us out of here in our full blazing glory. Because unlike Spielberg, I care about what we do.
He's looking at Cody, and now he's drinking a beer.
He's going. I ran out. I'm so sorry. That's that opera training over there. Listen to it.
For our iTunes listeners, I just chugged a second beer of the night. May the wings of liberty never lose a feather. This kind of ties in with the ninja. Sayonara, motherfuckers.
To learn more about the time I chop sueyed my way through an army of lethal ninjas, killing them all without getting so much as a single scratch on yours truly, please read my shocking and extremely short story, Keith Kata, the amazing true story of how I once backed my parents' Chevrolet Malibu station wagon over an army of ninjas by total accident, by Keith A. Howell. Take that, Michael Dudikoff, you wimpy-ass little... I'm not going to say the word. I'm going to take the high road here, folks. As we always do. And in the meantime, to learn more about the movie, cigars, and other libations enjoyed on tonight's episode, you can visit www.tempevideo.com, www.macanudo.com, and www.fourthtap.coop. That's fourth with the number 4, THTAP.coop. For more on O'Brien's Irish Pub, the live music leader in Central Texas, please visit o'brienstemple.com and download their free smartphone app, where you'll find full beer listings including over 40 on tap, menu information, and a calendar of upcoming live events. To listen and purchase music heard on tonight's program, check out www.fritzbeermusic.com. Thank you for listening to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. This is Keith A. Howell saying until next time, friends, unless we see you sooner at the pub. So keep it smoky, and for God's sake, keep it ballsy as well.
Go to work, get drunk, go to sleep, I get up. Go to work, get drunk, go to sleep, I get up. Go to work, get drunk, go to sleep, I get up. Go to work, get drunk, go to sleep, I get up. Go to work, get drunk, go to sleep, I get up. Go to work, get drunk, go to sleep, I get up. Go to work, get drunk, go to sleep.
Two quick comments on this episode's scintillating copy. Number one, I'm so speechless I can't shut up about the cultural mishmash put together here, what with the traditional Chinese martial arts like Kung Fu, stirred up in a wok along with Korean Taekwondo and Japanese ninjas, and then throwing in the quintessential American Chinese chop suey. Number two, if there are three things in a trifecta, how can that possibly be considered a pairing? Pairing highly implies, if not actually denotates, two. Not three, two. Mind officially blown.